and welcome back to Stint 2 of the World Tour Racing Club 12 Hours of Spa-Francorchamps. This is the second stint of 4 3-hour stints to make up a 12-hour race. 2 drivers across multiple teams. So far we have 13 registered, 12 in this race. Reminder, the fuel and tyres are consumed at twice the pace of normal. Damage is set to heavy. The balance of performance is activated. You have free choice of tyres. Tuning, I believe, is allowed. Have a quick look through here. The time for stint 2 is 12 o'clock. And slipstream tank, of course, is real. Where is it? And Adam, GTS 40, who is hosting this one, has started the second stint with the leaders being car 888 of sorry, of GTS V Racing Team. And we'll go with the spectator camera. And CRR1RN12 is in P2, taking over from his teammate. Pebsy GT taking over from his teammate in Team 113. A minute 20 down, but now within sight of the leaders, he needs to pass these guys and drive away by a minute and 20 if he wants to be the leader of the race at the halfway point. That's how this works. All the gaps from the first stint are carried over. And we are green on the second session of the World Tour Racing Club 12 Hours of Spa. You can see AXR Joker in the background getting a bit squirrely over the curve, trying very hard. We're expecting to see more chaos in the mid-pack here as the GCK car, is that still a Lexus? Interesting. Is in a fight with, sorry, it's KWE car is in fight with Donati F1. Now keep an eye on TSO 40 at the back here. I expect him to move his way forward, doing rapid laps very quickly. Donati straight away alongside, making big ground already. He's up one place from his starting position, but remember, we are racing against each other and the clock. You need to remember that it's not about just beating your opponent, it's about beating your opponent and the gap from the previous stint. But Donati making quick work here at the opening segment. He wants the win for his team and he will not let a slow first stint take it away. And Adam, TSO 40, goes straight up the inside of Making Noise and takes 10th place away from him. He is on a mission to make up a lot of ground for the THG. Sorry, that is THG Duodesk Racing Team. Hopefully we've got everyone moving across from the first stream because I ended it rather abruptly. That's my bad. Anyway. And then we see TSO 40 straight on the back of Donati. I was hoping these two would both go forward together, but Liam Thurso is also a quality driver. There are a lot of gun drivers in this second stint. It seems that a lot of guys have put all their eggs in the basket of the second stint to fight for the positions when everyone knows what they are. You can see Mike as well fighting back after Waterskin's first stint. He also wants to go forward. We've got 2 cars side by side. Mike and Making Noise, TSO 40 and Donati. Both cars on the outside prevail. The Lexuses get shuffled to the back. Oh, and they're fighting back from Making Noise, but no, Mike gets the job done. He's looking to try and stay with his teammate, TSO 40, but he runs wide, and that'll cost him. He'll be on the edge of running out of slipstream from Donati, but also giving Making Noise a chance. At the front, I think I saw Dankert having a fight in the THG Belgium car. And he's fighting with Liam Thurso in the second AXR car. He is fighting the CGK guys who were their main rivals in the previous stint. Jeez, that was hung out there for a long time. Joker getting dropped by GCK's number 2 driver. Very quick first sector there. He's not in the slipstream from Pebsy, and Pebsy hoping to try and make ground, but it looks like, again, the GTS V car is the quickest at this stage, pulling away in car 888 from the car number 30 of Cathal Witlake Esports team in their Mercedes. But remember, fuel, tyres, all these things matter. Oh, big slides, maybe a little bit too much oversteer from Felipe at this stage. Looks like Pebsy using all the revs. I think he'll be one of the first to run out of fuel, but I'm one of those drivers myself. I totally get it. And GCK hoping to try and make back that 20-second gap in order to try and stay on the podium. Try to get back on the podium, sorry. Joker being dropped. He was quick in previous races, but I guess just taking his time to warm up, not taking any risks, nice and early, sensible driving. It is still his first stint. He still has 3 hours to do. He still has 3 hours to do after that. We'll see Liam Thurso now being pursued by TSO 40, having already cleared Dankert. The THG Belgium car is plummeting down the order. It stole 6th place in the final 10 minutes, but it's already down to 9th. Donardi was looking to go with THG TSO 40, and there's THG Mike 65 trying to go around the outside. He wants to stay with his teammate, but unfortunately can't go around the outside. He'll have to fight again at the next one. But it looks like Dankert is going to give Donardi a slipstream. Never mind, Donardi not quite quick enough out of the final corner. It's already a 15.5 for Felipe. Huge pace off the bat. These guys are not mucking around. They've had 3 hours to work out how much grip there is by watching their teammates, and they are getting on with it. Side by side, Mike gets the run. He's got more speed with the slipstream. And we go further up the road. We see that Dankert got himself a penalty. Liam Thurso pushing TSO 40, but he's got a penalty. I'm not sure if that's for track limits or for the bump draft, because this game is particularly weird. And TSO 40 now zeroing in on the back of CJK Alan Brabus. And that will be his next target. Once he clears that, he needs to get to Joker. But out in the lead, it's Felipe putting nearly 2 seconds on Cherin? I'm not sure. Pebsy also 2 seconds back, but Alois is catching him. GCK want the podium, and they are not going to take their first stint mistake lying down. Muller only got ahead of his rival on the result of a mistake. But it is not a pace. Not the same thing on pace. Those two are very equally matched in the previous stint and seem to be equally matched in this stint. And TSO 40 has already caught up to the slipstream of the GCK car. He has destroyed him in the second sector. It's probably the wrong time to look at that. Yeah, he's taken 8/10 out of him, and he's got the run. How much straight line has this man got, as well as cornering? Had to back out there, though. Sensible decision to not get damage. He's going to now have to wind up, take another run up the next straight, and then attack the next car. He is probably the second or third quickest car on track, but he's in traffic, so we're not going to see any good lap times until he can get a clean run. And Liam Thurso's made a small mistake, and he's lost ground. And we see Mike and Dankert, two THG drivers, two totally different teams, THG Belgium being passed by the Polywords racing team. And that gives an opportunity to Donardi F1 to try and get out of 11th place and move forward. But we look at TSO 40, he's already alongside. How has he got such a good run up Eau Rouge? But the top speed isn't there. He's barely inching ahead, barely inching, hasn't quite got it, still overlap. Outbrakes him cleanly, gets to the apex, and he's through and away. I would not expect him to be fought back, because he is so quick in this middle sector at the moment. We'll go back to the second fight there. Oh, Donati unable. No, Donati was able to pass THG Dankert. So THG Belgium back to 11th place, making noise in the fight as well. These guys have gone the last 3 hours wondering how long it would take to get some fighting back in them, and it looks like they have wasted no time whatsoever getting back in this race and making sure that it is still something to fight for. Side by side, Mike and Donati. I'm already getting caught thinking about previous drivers, but that is Mike holding around the outside. Good effort, doesn't quite get it done. Now we've got 4 cars in a train. Got to not get damaged, not run wide, stay in the slipstream, try and make a pass. You will probably see Tom and Mike. Sorry, Tom. It's Dankert now. This is going to do me in for a while. Going to see Dankert and Mike potentially try and slipstream past Donati here in the same move, because once Mike pulls out, Dankert will be able to pick whichever driver he thinks is quicker and go with them. Here we go. Dankert stuck on the bumper. He wants to go low, has to go high. Dankert unable to get there because he pulled out of the slipstream too early. And there's Making Noise, trying to make a pass, but unable to. Touches the curb. The hump curb is dangerous. Loses ground, doesn't get the drive, loses speed. He is now under threat from Making Noise, while Mike is free to fight Donati all by himself. Oh, a little bit of contact there, but no damage. Oh no, but a spin from Making Noise. He was so close. Oh, just avoids the wall. Auto clutch almost kills him, but we'll go back with Mike. His teammate breezed past Donati on the opening lap. Can Mike do the same? Yes, he can. He's got the run, takes the slipstream, pulls out to the left. He's still got overspeed, He's through cleanly by. Now, Donati has the chance to hook back in the slipstream. Dankert's awake to it. He blocks the inside and is able to defend into Lake Coombe. Now, these two will continue their fight into the future because they have been about the same pace so far. Big slide for Dankert. He's pushing to try and break free. It's got a little bit too much oversteer for him. Oh, but Donati is quicker under brakes. Oh, sorry, that's Mike, not Dankert. I apologise. Too many THG drivers. Alright, we see Liam Thurso, only 1.8 behind TSO40, who has now caught the back of AXR Joker. He's fighting for 5th place. He goes around the outside of the exit of Puon and goes up the inside of Piff Paff. That's a clean move. However, it's not the best move because Joker is still within touch. He has slipstream. He will be able to get the run on TSO40 out of Stavolo. Oh, running onto the green stuff, gets away with it. It's still 4/10s, still gaining. TSO40 is pulling away, flat in the clean air, but now the slipstream kicks in. He will start to lose performance. Joker will close, but he won't get there just in time for the bus stop. But if he can stay close, he will get a chance up the Kemmel Straight into Lake Coombe. At the front, Pebsy with the fastest lap. Never mind, Alice has now taken the fastest lap off him. Both running 15.5s in this early phase. They're fighting to catch the top 3. You can see Alois is almost within slipstream of Pebsy. Pebsy just outside slipstream of Cherin, and Cherin 1 second behind Felipe. These guys are brewing. Here we go though, Joker with the slipstream on TSO40. Oh, had to lift a big aero understeer through the top of Eau Rouge. It looks like TSO40's got more fuel than in the previous stint. Oh, they had to use 6th gear and the shift cost so much speed for AXR Joker. And they go side by side to Lake Coombe, but TSO40 holds it on the inside. Can TSO40 break away after going around the outside on the exit of Puon? Can he break away, get out of slipstream range and leave the AXR teams behind? Because just behind them they've got Liam Thurso, who ran with Groot, I believe, and Joker was with Eclipse. Oh, TSO40 in one corner there, pulling out above the 710. He's so quick through Puon, makes up easily a couple of tenths. Joker with a little slide, a little hesitation, and TSO40 is gone. He is looking up the road at the next target. He's 13 seconds off the lead, but don't tell him that. He thinks he's right with them. He's going for it. A 15.6 is almost as quick as the guys around at the front. He's also up another 18 thousandths. It looks like the top 5 are going to all be the same pace. Maybe Pebsy not quite as quick or consistent. He looks fast when he's got his best lap in, and maybe the fuel isn't quite there though compared to the AMG. So this stint looking to be more of the same. A 15.6 and a 15.5, a 15.8, a 16.0. And what can TSO40 do? He runs a little wide, doesn't hook up the final corner there, loses a tenth, but it's a 15.5, it's a PB. They're all on top of each other, and it looks like Liam Thurso is the quicker of the AXR cars. So there will be a position swap for P6. Those two need to keep it clean because they know they're not fighting each other at this moment for the actual position. They're fighting on the road, but they're not fighting for the real position yet. And Donati has got through on Mike, but Dankert for THG Belgium is fighting back against the Polywords Racing team to try and steal back that position, looking after his teammate THG Tom's hard work in the first stint. And TSO40, fastest man, but a little slide. That's the kind of thing he can't afford to do if he wants to try and make up the ground. He's got to be consistent. He's got to keep hitting the lap times. We can see GCK about to get in slipstream distance of THG Pepsi. They need that position and to win by 20 seconds to get on the podium, to run P3 at the end of 6 hours, then have to do it all over again. But that's a great line, only losing a small amount of time. The gap's 1.4 at the front. It's going to be a long race. I'm going to cut to the scenic camera. Ooh, running wide, never mind. And he is just safe from slipstream. Hanging on there. I thought he was about to be in trouble as the fight would continue, but we go on. We go to the second AXR car. As Liam Thurso looks to pass Joker, he gets the slipstream. Which side will he go? He goes to the left. His teammate opens up the inside line. Will he lift off? Yes, they do. That's good teamwork. They're working as a unit to try and maximise their stint results. They know there's no point fighting now. There is so much more race to go. There are so many little issues, so many mistakes, so many problems. Car 41 and 88 working together, doing the smart thing. And now Joker can just sit back and slipstream off Liam Thurso. Liam does his best lap of a 16.1. Joker's 17.6 won't be his best, but he had to let his teammate by. TSO40, a 15.6. It was a 16.0 for Alos. And that cost him a little bit of time, but only 1/10 to Pepsi, who did a 15.9. 15.9 as well for Cheririn. I can't work out how to pronounce that one. And Felipe with a 15.5. So, quickest man on that lap. But second quickest was in 5th place. He's still 13.5 seconds off the lead. But he has 2 hours and 43 minutes to try and recover that. Take a quick look and see if that fight has resolved. And it looks like Mike has got the edge over Dankert and broken slipstream. Making noise is about the same pace as them, but that mistake on the previous lap when he had the spin has just taken him out of the fight. He'll have to work to get back in that fight, but all is not lost because he's not being dropped. These four are all about the same pace, running mid-17s and a high 16 when they're at their best. So the race is never over, never concluded, always evolving. Thurso appears to have pulled away from his teammate. His teammate unable to go with him. TSO40 still 13.5 seconds down, but he's purple on this lap to the second sector. Everyone just millimetres apart. It looks like the Aston Martin is once again the quickest car in this stint. But we'll have to wait and see if the fuel advantage plays out again, or if THG Pepsi can find something, get a little bit closer. That's going to be fastest lap. It's a 15.2, 2.5 seconds quicker. It's a 15.7 in second place. It's a 15.9 for Pepsi. Pepsi does not have enough speed to catch up to Felipe. 15.8 for the GCK car. Car 13 looks to be the more threatening of the third and fourth place duel. And it was a 15.55 for TSO40. He is the second quickest car, but unfortunately falling away from the leader. He is going to need to find a way to save a pit stop, just like the second placed car did in the first stint of the Cathol Whitlake team. They need to find a way to pull a pit stop out of Felipe and the GTS V team in order to try and get back on terms in this stint. It appears that Pepsi has thrown it at the wall while we were away. And yep, he is in with engine damage, front right damage and aero damage. Not sure what he's hit or how he's done it, but it has cost him a huge amount of time. 3.5 minute lap. He is now a minute and a half off the lead. That is not what Muller wanted. That's not what Team 113 was looking to do. The whole first stint, he's saying, keep your head down, mate, look after the car. And he's immediately gone and binned it on lap 10, only 25 minutes into the race. That's a shocking moment for him. He'll be so disappointed. He's now comfortably last, a minute and a half off. It's compromised the strategy. He's going to have to find a way to find 5 minutes of fuel across the rest of this race if he doesn't want to take an extra stop. Checking back the leaders, Felipe pulling away again. Looks like the tyre wear advantage isn't as strong though. The second driver for... excuse me. The second KWE driver is looking after the tyres a lot better than the first in comparison to the GTS V car. So in the first stint, the GTS V car with Randy Moore had a far better tyre advantage than Evo Tropic. And in this stint, Felipe not taking such a big advantage over Churn. I don't know how I'm supposed to pronounce that. Someone help me, please. However, that means that third place in this race, so in this stint, and quite likely overall, goes to GCK. And this is the GCK MPT team. And their car 13 with Alos is in the P3 position right now. Now, probably ahead of Team 113. THG TS040 with a 15.4 to his name, trying to catch up with the leaders but not able to do so. But he's inching his way closer to third and second on the road, still 13.5 seconds behind Felipe, seemingly with the same fuel advantage as the second place KWE car. His tyre wear looks pretty good and his fuel is basically the same. 9 seconds back is Liam Thurso, and Joker's starting to pick up the pace here, not losing as much to his teammate, although there is a 19 there, so I wonder if Liam Thurso was impeded by a damaged Pepsi on his way through. But that's part of the endurance racing. Someone has a drama, you can't just go straight through them, you have to clear them and they have to get back to the pits. We've got GCK, Alan Brubbus, casually walking around in the 17s. His best lap, I think, is a 16. Yep, it's a 16.8. Oops. And he is just cruising around, keeping the tyres good. The tyre wear looks pretty good on that one. Actually, it's say front deg rather than rear deg, and the fuel's looking good. Donati for the SCW. They have now resumed hostilities with THG Mike. These guys have been fighting since the start. Now we're seeing Mike doing slightly quicker times after being passed by Donati, and we will see these guys fighting for the near future. Dankert is another 2.5 seconds back in the THG Belgium car, with Making Noise still 7 seconds back. These guys are all on the same pace. It's fantastic to see. And then Pepsi running a purple, apparently, through Sector 1, now that he's on fresh tyres and is very angry. Let's keep a watch on Donati and see if he can keep out of the slipstream from Mike, and in order to stay ahead. He's done a great job through the bus stop there, pulling to 9/10, but a better exit for Mike, getting it down. It's to 7.5. He will be within slipstream if a good source, but Donati nails the apex, gets a good exit. And Mike is closing. Not quite, maybe. Yes, he will get a slipstream up the hill. This will be a fight at the end of the straight. The Lexus looking a little sluggish in a straight line, honestly, but it has a very good handling characteristics, as we've been seeing. He's outbraking Mike and turning harder. Gaps down to 3/10, 2/10. Donati goes to the inside. Mike goes to the outside. They're side by side in the braking zone. Mike slightly ahead. Donati outbrakes him. They turn in side by side through the first part. Mike gets the job done though in the middle. Or does he? Donati stays up the inside and he holds it around the outside. Mike able to prevail before Bruxelles. And we saw making noise, pitting with no damage, just on fuel at the end of 12 laps, which is 1 lap too few. He needs to go an extra lap if he wants to do half-hour stints, and he just comes out behind THG Pepsi in the Team 113 car. He has a lot of work to do with a 16-0 on that lap to try and make up the 50-odd seconds to the cars ahead. He is a long way down very early, but it's a long race. He has this whole stint and a whole stint after that to make it back up. As we go back to Donati, he is not happy about being passed, and Felipe is in the, oh, I can't get to him, in the GTS V car, but he's pitting also very early. He's basically run out of fuel. He's going to struggle to make it to the end on the same number of pit stops as his teammate. He's going to have to save a lap of fuel somewhere. That could be a huge difference in this race. You need to clear 13 laps comfortably to not run out of fuel at the end. It's going to be very tight, potentially right on the limit. And we see that the second place now, GCK Elos, has enough fuel to do that extra lap, I think, and that will mean that he doesn't have to save fuel, and that gap is going to come down between them. Meanwhile, the Mercedes have a much better fuel situation. I'd say the KWE car has a better fuel situation than the Duodesk THG car. And those two are separated by 9.5 seconds. So more work to do for TSO40. He's not the fastest man on track, and he wants to be. He was hoping to be. He was trying as hard as he could to try and make sure his team had the right tools, but it doesn't look like he's got enough, and he's still 6 seconds behind GCK. So on tyre wear, it looks like he's got better tyre wear, but his pace isn't much stronger. It's a couple of tenths, whereas in the previous race, the tyre wear advantage that we saw on the I was between THG cars, I apologise, between the Aston, sorry, never mind, I was going to say the tyre advantage was far more significant, but it appears not to be the case in this stint. Tiny back within slipstreaming distance of Mike. That's very, very, very interesting. We have seen pit stops at the front for both the GCK and the second placed car. That was not expected. We were not expecting KWE to need to pit for another couple of laps, which means that the second stint KWE car, it has better fuel economy than the Aston Martins, but not enough fuel economy to make one less pit stop. The pace in the first stint has been so hot that we are not seeing the same fuel economy from the Stint 2 drivers. That leaves just TSO40 out by himself, potentially fighting for the race, or the stint winning strategy. But it doesn't look like he's got enough fuel either. He can only muster 15 laps, and that will leave him 2 minutes short on fuel. So he needs to find a lap of fuel, do the 36-minute stints to save a pit stop. This lap is not going to be enough. Someone send word to the THG boys that everyone has a fuel drama and they are the closest to making it. That's going to bring the AXR cars in. But it looks like Liam Thurso's also thirsty on fuel. No one can make the same distance as Stint 1. This is amazing. Joker will actually beat his teammate at this rate, as GCK Alan Brabus also has a good fuel situation and is running the same pace as Joker. Mike and Donati have come out ahead of Felipe. Felipe is now in traffic, fighting. He is the race leader. He is the effective stint leader. But he's racing for P6 right now, trying desperately to not lose too much time to the guys ahead. And if the guys behind the KWE guys had managed to stay out for another lap, they could have found themselves in a fantastic position. And TSO40 pits with 5 litres left. He needed to save 2 litres maybe, and he would have had enough for an extra lap, and that would have put him in the race lead effectively on strategy. That's a very disappointing moment for the THG Duodesk Racing team. Well, it turns out I muted myself and didn't unmute it. Apologies. But I've been watching some great racing at the back there with Donardi and making noise. Unfortunately, mistake and some damage. Looks like we got damage to Donardi as well in that fight. Dankert unable to keep up. So we scrolled forward here and found the second GCK car fighting to catch the back of the AXR, the Aquapax racing team. And oh! Much slower on the way in there from Joker versus Alan Brabus. And it looks like those two are going to see some on-track action. I'm informed that THC Pepsi fell off the road as a function of contact. We're not quite sure what kind of contact, but it was contact apparently, side to side, front to back. Not sure, we missed it on stream, and we will have to see how that plays out with post-race stewarding. But for now, ALN Brabus is catching Joker in the slipstream, and it appears that the Audi is still using the top of 5th gear to do all of its work, and they have all but abandoned their 6th gear for fuel saving. And ALN Brabus not really able to catch up, so the GCK Porsche not with the same kind of top end as the AXR Audi R8. It looks like they're short shifting the Porsche though, so that could be part of their strategy to try and take a pit stop less than their opponents. Not a good exit there from Joker, and Brabus gets a great run down the hill. He'll have a huge slipstream up the hill, but will he catch him early enough or late enough, but with enough overspeed? There's a balance of having enough overspeed and pulling out early enough, but not having too much, not pulling out too late, but not having enough overspeed to get it done. But that looks very promising. The 5th gear revved all the way out, holding, and he's able to complete the pass. GCK takes the position, 7th place on the road from AXR Joker. Joker, though, will fight back, and straight away, 2 apexes later, he's right on the bumper. Will he have to block? Will he attack? Joker knows better, doesn't attack, but the apex is wide open, unable to steal it. Looks like a lot of understeer on the GCK car, car 69. Just not hitting the apexes suddenly now that he's got clean air and he's in front and no longer being held up, but needs to find a way to just calm down, nail those apexes and drive away. He makes a mistake, misses the apex. Unfortunately, Joker does too, and he starts pulling away from him, but Joker will have the slipstream and will start working back towards him. He's got to get through Piff Paff nice and clean, has to adjust to the dirty air, back it up just a little bit in the braking zone, try and get himself to the apex. He's going to run wide, but it won't quite kill him. Now it's down to 5/10, makes the apex, gets a good exit, a big slide from GCK, and it's under 5/10, a lift to get through Stavolo, and we are away 4/10. It'll come down under slipstream. It's a question of where he catches him and how much speed he has on top. It's down to 3/10. It'll be 2 by Blanchimont. Will he be able to pop out on the other side? Uses 6th, loses 4K now, and the overspeed is gone, but he's on the bumper. GCK moves to the left, Joker goes to the inside, and he will clear him on the inside. No, GCK unable to hold it round the outside. Jock tucks back in, but all is not lost. Oh, but a bit of oversteer, and he gets on the green AstroTurf. It's bumpy, he loses drive. It's out to 5/10, but he's still within the slipstream distance. Almost there, seeing disaster, dropping the position and leaving the fight, but no, 5/10, a clean exit, and the slipstream will pull him right onto the back of Joker. We will see round 2 at the top of the hill. Now he's further back this time. Will he have a greater overspeed when he arrives in order to make the pass easier? It looks like yes, he's coming. Joker blocks the inside, goes to the outside. This time, it's about the same. Joker can't quite hold on. Lift breaks a little bit earlier, tucks it back in, and will go again. So we've seen position swaps on both straights for 2 laps now. Oh, running wide this time. Joker can't afford to make that kind of mistake. And all the while, Pebsy on his march back from an early damage stop Getting closer and closer, so he will join this fight in a very short period of time and potentially mix it up. But Joker runs wide onto the AstroTurf. It'll cost him a couple of tenths, meaning he's right on the limit going into Poo-on. He needs a very good Poo-on here. They both get down to the apex. Joker not using as much road, losing time. The slipstream just within range. Pulls back slightly into Piff Paff. Can he hit the apex here? A mistake for GCK. A mistake also for Joker, but Joker gets away better. It's down to 5 tenths. He's within touching distance still. Now we got to get through Stavolo nice and clean. Both cars make the apex. Both cars get a decent exit. It's 6 tenths. A safety lift. Oh, still within 7, but he's not going to stay there. The slipstream won't save him. It's gone. GCK breaks Joker. For the moment, it's 8 tenths, but as he revs the car out in 5th gear, will he catch back up in the top of the straight? Sort of. So, GCK Alan Brabus was able to pull away in the first part of that straight, but at the very end, Joker was able to make back ground, and he uses good drive out of the bus stop. He'll get back to within 7 tenths here. The race continues as Pebsy has to find more fuel, but is unfortunately still a couple of laps short of being able to make it to the end on the minimum number of pit stops he would hope to do. And Joker within 6 tenths now. How's his top speed compared to the GCK Porsche? Little safety, big safety lift in the middle. That car is not happy going through Eau Rouge in the dirty air. As a result, he has no overspeed. Once he gets to the top of the hill, has to start all over again in the slipstream. If he can get up Eau Rouge clean, he would have sailed through. And it's the quickest time to the first sector. No surprises. That Audi was moving. And he's now 3.3 behind, 0.4 behind, sorry. And he's now within slipstream distance again. So he's going to have to try all over again to stay close and make a move. We'll check back in on the leaders shortly. As it looks like 2, 3, 4 are all in a train. So I'd say TSO40 is about to catch the lead GCK car, but they are both within touching distance of the KWE Mercedes, and it looks like, once again, the Vantage in the hands of the GTS V boys is going to be the fastest car in this stint. But Joker doing a great job getting to the apex, not running as wide, getting back to the apex, staying close. Doesn't need to do anything crazy. He's within 3 tenths. He can give up 2 tenths here and not be too fast. But he runs the better line. He keeps it down the apex. Needs the safety lift. Makes sure not to run wide. It looks like they have got the Audi understeering a bit to make it a little bit more stable. But gap is 4 tenths. The slipstream is kicking in. The Audi's top speed is kicking in. It'll be down to 3. Now we'll go to Blanchimont. Stay in 5th. Stay in 5th. Stay in 5th. Has to lift through Blanchimont. It's down to 2 tenths. 1 tenth. Will he defend? No. GCK stays on the outside. Joker goes up the inside. Takes the... Or does he take the position to Porsche? Yes, he does. And Porsche into bus stop. And the Porsche gives him the space to go through bus stop quickly. And now... it's 4 tenths, and GCK now behind, but within slipstream distance. He will have the opportunity to return serve. Looked like he'd missed the apex there, but he got a much better bite out of the camber in the middle of the corner, and as a result, it's none to 4 tenths and shrinking. GCK Alan Brabus will now get a monster run up the hill, a safety lift, but it's all good. Keeps the overspeed. Just starting to run out of go. The top of the range for the Audi. It's pulling away when he's in the slipstream. That's incredible. What a setup on that Audi. The Porsche doing 258 at the end of the straight, being dropped in the slipstream. That is a brilliantly set up Audi for the straights, but as we can see, the safety lift in Stavolo, the safety lift up Eau Rouge, it's not great when you're following. It might just work when the car has good tyres in clean air, but into the dirty air it feels a bit sketchy. So Joker knows he has a massive straight line advantage. Alan Brabus will feel frustrated. He needs to get ahead and break the slipstream so he can drive away on the pace that he has. They both make a little wobble. And Felipe is in again, and he is again right on the limit of time. He is going to be very, very, very close to running out of fuel at the end of this race. He's going to have to find a lap somewhere. Otherwise, it could be all over for those guys. However, this time it looks like a lot more fuel has been saved by the KWE team. And their pace is looking strong. They're keeping up. GCK's second car is 2 seconds off the new leader, and TSO 40 made a mistake after I said he was close. He was on a run of 15s. He has the fastest lap with a 2:15.114. He gave up 3 seconds and then half a second on the previous lap, and as a result the lead has moved from 2 seconds to 6, but he is closer than he was before. He has the most fuel of these lead guys. He needs to find a way to do more laps. This is enough fuel for 3 more laps. That'll get him down to 1 hour and 54 to go. It's not enough. He needs to be at 1:48 to go. He's 2 laps short. He's going to have to pit just as much as everyone else. The difference is he'll do 1 shorter stint at the end, but I don't know if that's enough to make up the 8 seconds to the KWE or the 13 seconds to the Felipe of the GTSB racing team. Liam Furso here for the Aquapex racing team. They are doing a great job keeping the pace, keeping it within 40 seconds of the leader. A full hour into this race. The second stint feeling far tighter, far more competitive. It looks like we've got a more even spread of drivers in. They're not as far off the pace. Making noise after having a couple of mistakes is now 2 minutes and 20 off the lead, unfortunately. Pebsy had a scheduled pit stop. Yeah, that 3:28 looks like damage and a mistake for a pit stop, losing 20 additional seconds in the pit stop phase. The closest fight on track. Okay, so KWE staying on their strategy. GCK staying on their strategy, pitting 1 lap after the half hour. GCK again pitting with less fuel, having to fill more. And TSO 40 staying on his strategy. He plans to run the car empty and then just take the extra little 1 lap here, the extra 1 lap there, in order to try and take a shorter pit stop at the end, try and steal back some of the lap time, in the gap, to make the difference in this stint, to try and hand it back to his teammate in a good position for the start of stint 3. Whether it works or not, I don't know. I'm hoping for him that he can make it work and fight in the top 1 position with the GTSV and KWE teams. But let's see at the other side, can Felipe hold on? He does, but by under a second. The KWE car is now only 2 seconds off the race, well, the stint lead. Remember, they were only 6 seconds down at the end of the first stint. So they need to win this stint against the GTSB team and Felipe and put 6 seconds into him to take the race lead. This is legitimately for position, these guys. They are so close after the first stint and so close after an hour of racing. We'd say that the KWE car has the fuel advantage. Will that be enough to just sneak them ahead in the race? They've taken a touch less fuel in this stint. They've worked out they don't need to fill the car completely. They can afford to take 1 lap of fuel out of the car and still be fast. Have a look at the fueling time. It was 2 seconds quicker for the KWE team, and that's why he's now only 1.8 off the lead. That is good strategy. They're just using the fuel advantage to buy them pit lane time advantage, as opposed to reducing an entire pit stop. With the tyre wear, they must have decided it wasn't worth staying out long, and they would just run the shorter stints. And it looks like Joker is still holding off GCK's second car in the Porsche 911. And a big slide from both of them. They're both trying as hard as they can. Alrighty, better run through there. Much quicker. He's got a massive overspeed, but it's always shrinking. He's taking 2 or 3 hundredths with every timing update. But the faster they go, they hit 6th gear and the Porsche just runs out of steam and the Audi pulls away despite the draft. That's incredible. They're going to have to do something different here at GCK because they are being held up badly by Joker, and Joker is taking absolutely all the road he can. 7 tenths away, just inside the slipstream. They gained for the first half of the straight, but the second half, there's just no pace there. Alright, still on the slipstream. Gets up through Eau Rouge. Good run. Overspeed, only a 10, only a 100th with each sector split. It's gaining, it's gaining, it's gaining, but is it enough? Still gaining on Joker, still gaining. This is the best run he's had for a while, but it's just not enough. There's not enough straight. He's done a 39.1 in the first sector as well, but it's just not enough to get there. We've got Mike in. It looks to be for a scheduled pit stop. Not damage, just lowish on fuel. So they're running the half-hour stints. Pevsey is 9 seconds behind Donati, who's unfortunately lost all his playmates. He was having a great fight with everyone around him, and they've all crashed and run out of fuel. And he's still apparently got damage on that front right corner. I don't know if he does, but he's only doing 248 up the straight, but I haven't seen enough of the Lexus to know. I don't think there are any other Lexi at this point, are there? Oh, there's making noise. I'll have to check making noise against Donati. But we'll go back with ALN Brabus, who is once again still stuck behind the Aquapax Joker. TSO40 with 5 litres again. He's still a lap short of where he needed to be. So they will not steal a lap, they will not steal a pit stop over everyone else at the front. At best, they will take some fuel, but it's not going to help them overhaul the 12-second gap. He's gonna have to do it on the road, meaning it's a long way home for TSO40 if he wants to win the stint and claim some glory for the THG Duodesk Racing Team. They had Team 113 on the podium in the first stint with THG Muller, but that's not going to be what he's aiming for. I think he would have been much happier with a better result. Where does he come out? Still fueling, still fueling. He's going to end up 6th here. Launches out of the pit lane, but he's going to end up side by side with Joker and Brabus. This will shake things up. This will shake things up indeed. Brabus in the slipstream, gets the exit. He's got the overspeed. He's now got slipstream. But by the look of it, Joker will get slipstream off of TSO40 at the top of the hill because he's constantly gaining as he had a better exit. And then TSO40 will get out of the pits. And we have seen the R8 is a rocket ship in the straight. And I say that, have a look at the gap between him and TSO40. That Mercedes refuses to go slowly. And Brabus finally finds a way to get through when I wasn't watching him. Somehow he's got up Eau Rouge a lot cleaner, and the Audi hasn't had the legs. And he's managed to pass him. Fantastic work by GCK Alan Brabus. Opportunistic move. He's done it. Can he now break Joker's slipstream? He's trying. Big wheel spin on the exit. Goes for the apex. And throttle maximum from halfway around the corner. He knows he has to break the slipstream to Joker. It's the only way he can get ahead and run his race. Braking down through Purwan. Gets to the curb. It's not great for him, but he makes it. Doesn't run too wide. It's out to 6 tenths. Now, Piff Paff, it's his last real chance to break the slipstream. Braking. Will he get back to the apex? No, he's turned in late. Joker's made the apex. It's down to 5 tenths. Another too late curve. He drops 2 more tenths. It's 4.5, 5. But Joker will be in the slipstream and Joker will be able to fight him back up the next straight. It's out to 6, but it's not enough. He was just too wide through Piff Paff. Did too much moving back to the right and couldn't get it back to the left in time. And as a result, Joker is still within the slipstream, and it's 6 tenths. But it'll be 4 by the end of the straight, and then he will have a run up the hill. Joker, though, needs a big safety lift in the middle of Blanchimont, and that really hurts his run. ALN Brabus gets another opportunity here through the bus stop and through La Source, but he doesn't get it right through bus stop, misses the first apex. Joker knows how critical this is. Big wheel spin on the exit of bus stop. He's desperate to stay within the slipstream. He's about 4.5 tenths back, and he knows just a clean La Source and he will be by at the top of the hill. It's more than a clean La Source. He's almost run into him mid-corner, but he didn't get the exit. Brabus missed the apex but got a clean exit. It's 5.5 tenths, but he has the slipstream. It's enough. He will go up the top of Eau Rouge. Big lift early, but gets on the power cleanly. Uses the curb through Blanchimont, through Radion. And now it's down to 4 tenths. He's had to engage 6th gear. That's going to slow him right down. It's 3 tenths. It's 2 tenths. It's not going to be enough. Joker won't get there. Interesting strategy play by both these guys. They, in theory, only need to pit on the end of this lap, and they will be able to go to the end on one less stop than the guys around them. However, it's a question of, do they want to go a little bit longer so they can run slightly shorter stints later and look after the tyres? Joker with a better line through P1. Oh, Brabus almost running wide there, almost touching the deadly green AstroTurf. It's 5 tenths. Brabus not really in a position to break away this lap by the look of it. Small sensible lines. He's taken much narrower lines, trying to stay on the apex. He hasn't lost time to Joker on this lap, but it's still 4.5 tenths. He hasn't broken away. The last lap was his best opportunity, and he knew it. He was trying, but tried just too hard, running all the way out as well. He's giving it everything, but 5.5 tenths, it's not going to be enough. And the slipstream will draw Joker back in. I'd say that Brabus is towing him at this point. It's 5 tenths. It'll be down to 4. Big safety lift and a shift. That's probably the wrong thing to do at the same time, but he's still within slipstream distance. Onto red fuel. He'll get one more lap if he wants it. This lap to box, if it's strategy, no, he's going to the fuel load. He reckons he's better off staying with Brabus, and I agree. Brabus has more fuel than them though, so he needs to be ahead of Brabus when he boxes to be within slipstream on the way out the other side. He gets a better run though. That's huge. He'll get a better exit. It's 4 tenths, 4.5 tenths. That's always coming down. The slipstream will pull him closer again. He needs to work out where to lift and get on the power as early as possible up through Eau Rouge. The Aquapax Audi has been struggling. Oh, it understeers. No, he's not going to get it done. Loses ground. Has to re-engage. Now there's a start again with the overspeed. Pulls 6th gear. Should have revved it out harder in 5th. 2 tenths. 1 tenth. If he wants it, it's there for the dive. Side by side into Lecoum. Breaks later and takes the position into Lecoum. And now Brabus is having to have a crack, trying to go back over him. Lecoum, Malmedy, can't get it done. He's going to be so angry. He worked and worked and worked to take the position. Finally gets ahead. Couldn't break the slipstream, and the Audi with its superior top speed, Joker is able to work his way back through despite a big lift in Eau Rouge. And once again Brabus finds himself on the wrong side of Joker, but he's got fuel in hand. If they both hit this lap, he might steal 1.5 seconds. No, it's not going to happen. He's touched the outside. He's touched the AstroTurf. It's cost him a couple of tenths. He's now outside slipstream distance. He will not be ahead after this pit stop. That is horrible luck for Brabus, but Joker runs wide. Brabus looking to make back the time on the apex. Down to 8.5 tenths. He could get back in slipstream range. Stavolo next. Oh no, it's not quite good for either of them, but Brabus is slightly quicker. He's flat through here. He will get back in the slipstream. It's not over yet. He will be right on the tail of Joker. Will he stay out another lap, or will he pit as well on the strategy? Let's find out. Making huge time. Making huge time. He must have been in mix 2 the entire time until now. He's almost caught the Aquapax car from 7 tenths back. Now Joker has to pit, and there we go. Right, Brabus staying out. His plan is to pass Joker in the pits. He's got at least 1 lap more fuel than Joker, potentially 1.5 laps. That's a second of fuel. He was a 5/10 behind him, and he now needs to make the best lap he can. This is hammer time, Lewis. Get on with it. Maximum attack. Hit the apexes. Get the straight line speed. Oh, apparently the top 3 are fighting? No, they're not. There are 15s for fastest lap for GTS V, KWE 3 seconds apart, and Alois also has set a PB with low 15s, but TSO40 also unable to catch up with them. They are all within 13.5 seconds, as they have been basically the entire time. This is how close and consistent it has been. Waiting on the pit stop for Brabus to resolve that one, but if he wants that position, he's going to have to nail a perfect in-lap while his opposition is on brand new tyres. Looks like Joker's in clean air, so nothing to worry about for him. Pebsy still making inroads from his early damage pit stop, trying to get back. Top 4 all very close, very quick. Pebsy probably not quite on that pace if I just quickly look. He can do the 15s, but they're not consistent, whereas TSO40, Alois, the KWE team, and Felipe all doing low, mid, high 15s consistently. Looks like another good lap there. Slight mistake, like maybe from KWE. Oh no, they both ran 16s. But they are so close to each other. The fastest car that lap was the GCK car. Never mind, it was TSO40 with a 15.147. He's just about got fastest lap. There is nothing separating these guys right now. They are all on top of each other. And Brabus pits. He had enough fuel for another lap, but he's decided 1 lap is all he needs. Now he's pitting with 5 more litres of fuel, but he is 1 lap further along. Does he take a slightly less fuel to come out ahead of his rival? We will find out as we search for Joker, who is 2.5 seconds behind Donati. Now, even if they do end up doing this right, Donati may fumble either of them. It depends. Does he stay out for 1 lap himself, or does he come in because he's out of fuel? No, he goes another lap. That will make it interesting on the exit. Brabus and Joker will be basically on top of each other on the exit. Wait and see. And they'll have to pass Donati either way, and it's going to be tight. And no, Brabus hasn't done it. He's been passed. He will have to slipstream Joker all the way up the back straight to have a crack at passing him. And then they will both have to fight Donati if they catch him on this lap. But there's overspeed for Brabus. He's got enough speed now. Can he do it? Goes to the inside. That's brilliant. He faked the outside and cuts to the inside. Takes the inside line, takes the position. Joker can't fight him, but tries to fight back on the outside. It won't work. Job done for Brabus, but he still has to clear the slipstream. He has to break the toe to find the gap. Once he's done that, easy enough, but he still has to clear Donati, and he'll probably have to clear him on this lap. If he's lucky, Donati will tow him out of the final sector in order to help him pull away. But if he's unlucky, he'll get dirty air and held up. Joker 6/10 back. This could be it. Brabus could finally break the AXR car off, get rid of the slipstream. The elastic band might snap. A mistake from Joker in Puon. It's out to 6.5. It's going to be 7. Brabus is now in the dirty air. Can he make it work in the dirty air of the Donati car, the CW car? He's close, but it's not enough. It's 7.5 tenths. It's going to be neck and neck on the slipstream, but he's right under the Lexus. He can't pull out. He can't pull out. If he's got dirty one tyres, he might have to lift. It's under 7 tenths. Joker is still in the slipstream. Oh, tragedy for Brabus once again. Gets the position, almost gets his way up to a full slipstream broken. But Joker continues to make ground. He will not lift on brand new tyres. But there's the car in the way of the SCW. Just about hits him and is able to clear, making himself full 2 tenths behind Brabus to renew hostilities once again. He will fight to take this position back up the Kemmel Straight one more time. This has been an epic fight between these two. No mistakes, just great racing. And Brabus did not take any less fuel. He filled the car. He could have broken away if he didn't have all the fuel. But he chose to have the fuel and the strategy options later. A little lift there for Joker. But he keeps the overspeed. It doesn't quite negate it entirely. And he's able to continue making ground. I don't think he's going to get there though. Oh, and he ran out of revs. Didn't shift early enough. And it's cost him. That means Brabus gets another chance to break away. Let's have a quick check with the leaders. 15.3, 15.4. It looks like GCK is about to catch KWE. KWE not having the pace in this phase of the race relative to first, third and fourth. It's pretty tight at the top though. Another 15.5 for GTSV's Felipe. KWE 16.4. It's not there. It's not good enough. Alois 15.6. He's within 9 tenths. We're about to see a position change for second on the road. This is third overall, racing second overall. TSO 40 15.2. The quickest man. Here we go. Now quickly checking back on Brabus. He's got 6 tenths. Joker with a much better line though. It's 5 tenths. It's going to come down to Stavolo again. And Brabus gets a good line. It's a really good line. It's enough. No! Joker stays in the slipstream, but he had to lift. It's over. He's finally lost the slipstream. Brabus has done enough. Now he just needs to pull away and focus on catching Pepsi and trying to make his way towards Liam Thurso, the other Aquapax car. All right, we go from one GCK car to the other. We've gone from Brabus to Alos. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's now 9 tenths. No, it's over a second. He's run wide, hit the AstroTurf, and he'll lose 3 tenths down to Puon. Doesn't get dirty tyres though, so he should be okay to attack Puon. But no, turns in too early, grabs the curve, forces him wide, costs him another 3 tenths. Oh, he'd been working to catch up, to try and take second place on the road, and then half a second evaporates in 2 corners. Just the wrong entry speed sets him up. Gets his rhythm all out of sort, and he can't make Puon work and loses even more time. Frustration and elation at GCK. One car finally getting the job done, the other one just getting close and falling away. Losing 8 tenths in that sector, he will be so disappointed. But the top 4 are now 11.4 seconds apart, an hour and a half into this race. That is incredible. These 4 drivers have got such consistency, such pace. Have a look at this. 15.4, 15.3, 15.1, 15.3, 15.2. That is a 3/10 spread over 5 laps. I lie, it's 2.5. It's not even 3. And he does another 15.2. TSO 40 is flying. It's a 16.2 for GCK. He's made up another 3 tenths. It's a 15.7 for the KWE car. However, it could have been a much bigger gain. And Felipe with a 16.2. It's all closing up at the front. 11 seconds covers the top 4. You love having 2.5 tenths in the first sector. It's such a shame when you can't hold on to that 2.5 tenths. Ooh, I have suddenly turned my volume down. TSO40 still closing, 5.5 seconds back. It's incredible how much of that time was lost passing people in the first part of the opening stint. So that's how much track position matters to your teammates. So even though, KWE runs wide, gets away with it, only loses a couple of tenths. But what I was saying was, even though you're racing for positions relative in the timing, we need to keep an eye on the fact that your position on the road at the end of this stint is the position that you will start the next one. So TSO40 starting 4th will give his teammate a fantastic chance to make up more time. Whereas Pepsi, for example, may be still ahead of the GCK car when they finish this stint, despite finishing on the road behind him, but his teammate will have to work his way forward to try and catch up again. So having a bad stint is a twofold drama, as you not only lose time, but you lose the track position that you have to fight for in the opening stanza of the stint to try and get back. And now, GCK in the slipstream, but he's deep in bus stop. Can he save it? Yes, gets away with it. Nice, sensible driving, using second gear, bit of a slide, able to stay just on the edge of the slipstream. He lost a little bit of ground. He needs a very clean run through La Source, and he will have a chance to catch KWE. But KWE using all of the apex there, making sure that it's not easy. A bit of a squirrel. A bit of a squirrel there, and it is still 6/10. He's going to have a chance to have a run at the top of the hill. GCK fighting for second on the road, but a big oversteer moment. Has to lift, loses the overspeed, and the slipstream will have to take its time to bring him closer. Not this lap, maybe the next, but that's going to cost him a lot of fuel. They really revving that thing out of fuel. And it's a 39.0. So 15.7 plays 16.5, plays 15.7, plays 15.4. TSO40 still the quickest man on the road. It's down to 10.8 to the leaders. He's just inching his way back in. And we're about to see a fight, a huge slide from KWE. That's a huge moment. Almost crashing out there, losing time. It's now 2 tenths, 3 tenths. And the run up to Blanchimont will prove very telling here. Oh, clean through Pouon. Good lines from both of them. Made the apex, nice and safe on the way out. Neither of them looking to try and take risks and break apart. Oh, slightly missed the apex there for GCK. However, gets a clean run through the second apex, making sure he lost a little bit of time, but not taking any risks by running wide. Again, just a little bit safer. The KWE car really running out of road. He lost 5 tenths to himself on that split, but it's 4 tenths, and now he has slipstream. Now he'll have overspeed. GCK looking for second on the road. 5 seconds off the lead. Oh, has to have a big lift in Blanchimont. It doesn't have the front end to stay there in the dirty air on worn tyres. That will be a huge problem. Come on, Rouge. And KWE moves over. Does he let him through? He does. So, interesting. KWE. Bit of a slide, bit of a panic, but he's decided very sensibly to just move out of the way and will follow GCK through and try and chase him towards the leaders in GTSV, because they are 6 seconds behind in this stint and 12 overall. He's within slipstream distance. He's actually going to get towed towards the leader. That's brilliant. That is fantastic. Because I believe the AMG has the pace, but TSO40 is catching. 15.6 plays 16.5 plays 16.6. It is all to play for. So position 1 is still position 1, position 2 is position 3, and position 3 is position 2. As confusing as that gets. And Pebsy has to pit once more, but he's now only 1 lap out of cycle to get back on the strategy he needs to be on. So that early damage pit stop, it will only end up costing him the 45 seconds of damage that he took. Oh, but KWE almost 6.5 tenths back. It looks like the GCK car is just too fast at this stage. They are pulling away, but never mind. KWE, the massive run through Puon. It's back to 5/10. Gets it down to the apex. Manages to claw back another couple of hundreds. Gets it back to the next apex. Making sure he doesn't fall out of range of the slipstream. That is great driving. Oh, bit of a sloppy run through Stavolo. Will he get through here without a safety lift? 7/10. It's under 7/10. He keeps the toe. We will continue to fight on. TSO 40, 3.5 seconds back. He can see them. They're dangling on the rope in front of him. He wants them. He wants to catch up. The gap from first to fourth is 9 seconds after 1.5 hours. Careful lift there from KWE. Oh, but he's gone deep. He's gone deep up the inside. Had to... Oh, and that's going to be collision. Oh, how was it not? That was not what he was hoping to do. He lifted off early to make sure that he didn't get anywhere near it and ended up missing his braking point. And that mistake has hurt him twofold. He's managed to lose the slipstream now, and TSO 40 is a second closer. It's a 17.1 and a 17.0, but it's a 15.6 for TSO 40. He is hunting them down. He can make the difference. It's 3 seconds between the top three. Felipe getting fuel now with a 16.6 on the previous lap. He will undercut everyone in this moment, but again, they're still very tight on fuel. They will make it across the line basically as the 3-hour mark comes up. Now, will Liam Thurso be in the way out the other side for Aquapax Racing? GTSV do not need another car to fight. He'll be coming out of the pit lane now. It's going to be close. It's very close. Liam Thurso will get the run. He will be side by side into Eau Rouge. This is huge for the lead of the race. If Liam Thurso gets involved, oh, but he bumps him instead. He's given him a hand. That's a big help for the Felipe. He's going to get a monster run now when he would have lost a lot of time. Liam Thurso, very clever, deciding to work with the race leader to try and slipstream along with him for the next half of his stint, instead of trying to overtake him and thus getting in his way. He knows the car in front of him is quicker, and he knows that his job is to get to the end of this race in the shortest time possible, not fight a guy he's not really in the race with at this point. Granted, he will take, I believe, one less pit stop than Felipe, and this is a real four position location where Liam Thurso is actually in the fight with these guys for the race win at this stage, but after another hour and a half, I don't think he will be. So KWE still 8/10 back, but TSO 40 now 1.6 and closing. They're running out of grip. TSO 40 becoming the juggernaut. He's coming, but isn't stopping. Refuses to slow down. Refuses to make mistakes. GCK pitting on strategy again as expected. That is the same technique they've been running, which is making sure they clear the half-hour mark and then pitting. This is different from KWE, not boxing that lap. They have more fuel, but a big slide as he gives a massive bootful in second gear. The traction control doesn't really catch it, and that hurts his exit. TSO 40, closing, down to 1.4. 1.3s now. Oh, lovely and smooth over the top, but it looks like the KWE car is trimmed out for more top speed. He's pulling away, and there's nothing TSO 40 can do about it. And Alos is not going to come out ahead of the Aquapax car or of Felipe. He's close though, but not quite there. It's about 4 seconds to Liam, so it'll be 5 or 6 to Felipe by the end of it. The outlap for Felipe will be very fast because he got that push up Eau Rouge. Instead of losing a second, he'll have lost no more than 3 or 4 tenths. And now TSO 40 has made ground. A mistake from KWE. The 1.5 second lead is now 7 tenths. KWE needs to pit. The tyres are gone. He's sliding everywhere. Somehow he's made the rear tyres wear faster in the AMG. I have never seen that before. Oh, TSO 40's tyres are in much better condition. Granted, he went longer in the previous stint, but he's in a fantastic position. This is net position 2 or 3 Another slide from KWE. It's up to TSO40 to stay in the slipstream. A little safety lift. But he doesn't know, he hasn't driven in dirty air with this kind of tyre condition before. All his overtaking was done early on in Stint 1. It's been a long time. Will he pull out? Will he sit back? He lifts and stays behind. Sensible driving. He's fully aware that KWE will pit this lap. Or is he going to make the dive? No, has to pull back in. I don't think he knows that there's a pit stop on, but he's about to be freaked out. Oh, they both pit! Oh, contact! KWE almost throws it off the road, and TSO40 takes an interesting choice to pit on the same lap as KWE. He could have done one more lap. He could have been the difference. He'll have slightly less fuel to put in, but I don't think he'll come out ahead as a result. So Liam Thurso now 1.2 seconds behind. He's actually quite quick in comparison. I would have expected him to get dropped a little bit more quickly than this. But GCK fighting KWE and TSO40 on the exit for position. And it looks like GCK Alan Brevis did in the end break Joker and has not been caught since. He's pulled away 4 seconds, and Pebsy is now 24 seconds behind them and closing, doing 15.8. Go back to the front. So Felipe's through for GTSV. And TSO40 leaves the pits. He does so with slightly more fuel on board. It's nose to tail. He's managed to sneak through, but he does not have the slipstream from the car in front. GCK is ahead, and his opposition in the KWE car will have the slipstream. Had to lift through a Rouge, but this is clearly of the two the quicker car at the top of the straight. So it will be up to TSO40 to outbrake him. Goes very narrow. Throws KW off. He didn't get the run. And now he's lifting. He's not interested. He doesn't want the position. He's looking to just stay in touch. TSO40 a little deep on the wrong line there. But now he has to go. He has to make the gains to catch up to GCK. Oh, but he runs wide. Big wobble. That'll allow KW to catch back up. That's not what KW wants. He saw them come through. He let them stay there. He knows that he's not trying to fight TSO40. He wants TSO40 to drag him back towards GCK. He wants to use GCK to drag him back towards Felipe in the GTSV car. They have more fuel, all three of them, but it's still not enough because they are 5 seconds down. That's right, it is 8 seconds from first to fifth right now. Liam Thurso out of sequence, but for Aquapax Racing, he is running P2 right now and will be for a few more laps. He has 3 more laps of fuel, and I don't know if the guys behind will catch him before then. Maybe they will. It'll become an interesting problem for them. But no, KWE loses the slipstream to TSO40. He won't be pulling them along either. It's not going to plan. They haven't fought the positions, and the positions have left them. They are doing all they can to stay within touching distance of GTSV. It's about 15 seconds overall after 4 hours and 40 minutes. That little mistake in the bus stop against the GCK car ended up costing him 2 positions. Looks like will be a little bit of a lockstep. Oh, never mind. A great exit from KWE. Makes up a 10th and has the overspeed. I don't know if he'll get into slipstream, but we can see the gap coming down from 9/10, just inching down in the same cars. It comes to who's got the better line. Oh, had to lift halfway up the hill, and that'll cost him. Now TSO40 will scamper away, avoiding giving away the draft. Let's have a quick look through the field, as ALN Bravis is now 4.5 seconds ahead of Joker. He's just pulling away. He's got slightly better tyre life, and he's got more fuel on board, so he can run longer. It was a huge moment for him to get past. Joker being caught by 2 seconds a lap by Pebsy. Pebsy GT with a 15.4. He's 3/10 off the fastest lap. He's recently come in, and he's only put in 3/4. Oh, maybe not. He might have put in a full tank, and I just haven't worked it out. But he's suddenly come alive. He's looking to make up ground from 8th place. He wants to be in this hunt. He reckons he can get back to about P6 with the GCK second car. Behind Pebsy, it's side by side between Mike and Donati. So Donati gets through in the bus stop over Mike, but Mike isn't done fighting. Will he go left or right? He cuts to the inside. Donati realizes he's been beaten there, and now Mike stays on the inside, but he goes a little deep. Slight contact, side by side, out of La Source, but Donati gets the better run. Mike will have to tuck into the slipstream and then pull straight back out to try and go side by side up a Rouge, but he doesn't. They do a little bump draft, another bump draft. Pushing up Eau Rouge, through Radion, bit of a wobble, crossover. Mike has more speed, more top speed, more. It's now equal, neck and neck, side by side, bit of bump and grind. Mike is on the outside, Donati on the inside. Mike gets enough over, no, and Donati lets him go. Could have had the braking duel, but he thought better of it. Oh, Mike has a bit of a wobble in there, and Donati ends up with a slight rub. No damage, but Donati has the worst tyre condition, but less fuel. He's got a better run into Bruxelles though. Puts it up the inside. Mike leaves room and Mike will be passed. That is good racing all around. That's quality. Gave him room, let them have the space, saw he was coming, but now he's got to run. Will he have a crack into Pouon? Donati half blocks, Mike lifts because he doesn't want to make contact, backs off a little early for Pouon, gets a good exit though, had to take a safety lift in the dirty air. It's 3/10 and dropping. Dankert, 30 seconds behind them, will be hoping these guys come together to get back in the fight and making noise. Still hanging out in last, but I don't think he's far behind Dankert. I'll check on him in a minute, but SCW fighting hard with Pollywood's racing team right now as Donati and Mike go neck and neck with each other. Out of Stavelot up towards Blanchimont. Mike with a big lift in the middle of the corner there. It'll cost him a bit of time, but he's so close. The slipstream will mean they are side by side for Blanchimont. Who goes inside? Who goes outside? Mike goes to the outside. Donati goes to the inside. He lifts though because he doesn't want to end up stuck out there. Lifts again right behind. Will he go inside or outside at bus stop? Donati blocks the inside. Mike goes to the outside. Mike, unable to make it work, has to give back the room, and Donati pulling away. Big wheel spin there for Mike on the exit, and it's a 5/10 gap. However, what is ahead? Is that... Oh, that's making noise. He's a lap down. He's done a 2:25 on the previous lap. That's very unfortunate. TSO 40 and KWE within touching distance still. Mike in slipstream. He'll get another attempt at this. Just needs a clean line. He stays flat. He's got the overspeed this time. Needs to pick a side. Doesn't. He goes for the bump draft. Interesting choice. Wouldn't have gone that myself. Again with the bump draft. And now he pulls out. That's... Oh, had to brake a little bit earlier there. Interesting choice. Oh, big slide. That's going to be a problem for him. He might fall out of slipstream now and have to work his way back if he wants to make the overtake. It was a weird choice to go the bump draft when he has better tyres, pitted more recently. I really thought he could have passed and then made it work, but I guess Mike has been looking at this situation longer than I have. I stumbled into it mid-battle. He's been fighting it. But he stays within slipstream. He just gets a better run through No Name. How's Pouon go? SCW doing a good job here. Oh, but the better run from Mike, looking into the fifth path. Gets a better run, takes the apex. Takes a wider line and gets more apex speed. He's almost thinking about passing into Stavelot. But he gets on the AstroTurf. He'll need it. But it doesn't need a lift. No, sorry, that was Nardi. Didn't need a lift. Sorry. And it's now back on between the two. 3/10 down to 2/10. Which side will Mike go? Will he go forward, backward, left or right? He's committing to the outside. No, he's backed off and will hook in again. Pushing. Trying to get the run up to bus stop. Will he come out or will he sit still? Goes around the outside. Outbreaks Donati, but Donati's got the inside line and Mike has to let him through. Can't hold on out there without help. And a big slide for Mike. That cost him time. He's back to 5/10. But he's still within slipstream and will be able to fight up the hill towards Lecombe out of Eau Rouge. But he gets a really good run through La Source. Amazing. It's down to 3/10 before Eau Rouge. He's going to have to back out before Eau Rouge. He's too close. 2/10, 1/10. He's basically touching him. He can write his signature on the bumper bar. Comes out, gets a crossover going, but it's no overspeed. He'll start pushing him by the look of things. Pulls out this time. But he hasn't got the speed. Has to tuck back in. But the gap is 3/10. It's too far. There must have been a little bit of a lag contact there because Denard, he has smoked him doing about 265 k an hour. The top speed trap is suddenly looking very fast in that Lexus. If this was a Blancpain event, suddenly the BOP guys be sitting there going, hang on, what? That shouldn't be that fast. Anyway, we'll check back in on the leaders, and it looks like TSO 40 is 1.5 seconds either way. Can't quite make it inroads, but Felipe MMN has taken a new fastest lap with a 15.003 for the GTSB racing team. It's not as quick as the first stint, but it's still a very good lap time. He is now 5 seconds clear of his nearest rival GCK, Alois, and whose last lap was a 15.4. But TSO 40 is closing with a 15.2 and KW a 15.3. Both of them quicker than the second place car. There's swings and roundabouts as who's quicker at any time on what tyre and what stint. It's all over the place. These three are separated by 2.5 seconds after 1 hour 45 minutes. The top four are 8 seconds apart, and we still have 7 hours remaining. Oh, TSO 40 getting within a second. This will be his chance if he can just hit a couple of good apexes. They are good, but they're not quite good enough. It's 0.82. GCK not making it. Oh, no, he's gone deep. He'll get a really bad exit there. No, he just hangs on. It's still 8.6, 8.5 tenths. And now that'll be just enough. No, 8 tenths. 7.9. It's not going to be enough for TSO 40 to catch back up and get slipstream. He revs the hell out of it in fifth. He's desperate for that slipstream. It's so close. He can just about touch it. If he can reach out his front windscreen, he could grab it. But unfortunately, he's stuck in the driver's seat. Big moments now. Looks like GCK is better under brakes. He pulls away 2 tenths, but TSO 40 gets a better run through the middle. It's not a good exit though, and loses a couple more hundredths. It's literally hundredth by hundredth. He made 6 tenths on that lap, but it's not quite enough to get in the slipstream. Felipe with a 16.0, a 15.9 for GCK. TSO 40 with a 3.56, quickest man on that lap. The KWE car, the second quickest car, with a 15.6. TSO 40 still unable to get within slipstream distance. It's 9.5 and growing. Must have been a poor run out of the source. GCK getting the job done, hanging on, hanging on. Can't get there. This must be driving him nuts. He's down to 6 seconds off the lead, but he can't quite steal it. He managed to deal with KWE in the previous pit stop. Can he do the GCK car in this pit stop? He's within slipstream, but it's the whole of sector 2 to get through before he can use it. Has to stay nice and tight, nice and narrow, but he's stuck in the dirty air. It's going to cost him. Yep, there he goes. Loses a tenth straight away. Couldn't get it turned on the power. Costs him time. But now he's making up ground. Must have been a mistake there for GCK. They're both a little wide on the apex, and it's 7.5 tenths again. TSO 40 unable to stay within slipstream. He gets a little sniff of it, and then the dirty air kicks in and he misses it. Good line through Piff Paff the start. Gets the run, gets it down to 6.5 tenths. Pushing on the exit, it's under 7. Can he stay there through Stavilo? No, I don't think he will. It's 7.5, 7.3. He's done it. He's got the slipstream. The race is now on between them. He's got slipstream to try and make an attack. He doesn't have a big fuel advantage. It's a small one at best. He doesn't have the stint advantage. It's gonna have to be done on track. These guys are all on the same fuel there or thereabouts. TSO40 with actually less than the KWE car, but he's 2 seconds back, and it's not a second of fuel, that's for sure. 3/10 down into the bus stop. At TSO40 now, it's his moment to strike. He knows he has to get through this lap, break GCK, and then drive away. It's a 14.819 fastest lap. Huge moment in the race. He managed to get in the slipstream and then pull up 4/10. It was a 15.2 for GCK. That might be his best lap or thereabouts. It was basically the man's best lap, and he got caught. That's going to be a huge psychological blow for GCK. TSO40 all over him now. Fastest man on track. Fastest man in the session. He is all over him. Has the overspeed. Swings to the outside. Side by side up the Camel Straight. He's got overlap. He's done it. Cleanly ahead into Leiku. And he's 6/10 up on himself coming into the first sector. Now he's got clean air for the rest of the sector. This could be a massive lap time. He's trying to break GCK. It's 5/10, down to 4.5/10, down to 4. Looks to me there's traffic up ahead, unless that is the leader. I don't think it is. No, it is the leader. Good lord. There are 2 cars, but sorry, there is a car between him. It's the THG Belgium car of THG Dunkirk. Hopefully Dunkirk gets out of his teammates' way. Well, not teammates for this race, but they are teammates in general. But it's 5/10. He needs a great run through Piff Paff here. This will be his moment to try and break GCK and go after Felipe at the front. He's got it down to 4.6 seconds. It's good. He's got 7.5/10. Just Stavolo to go here. Can he break the slipstream? No, GCK too good through Stavolo. Losing ground on the exit, but it's not enough. He's still within slipstream, but there's a safety lift. TSO40 breaks the slipstream. It's 8/10. He is 5/10 purple on himself. He's looking for the fastest lap of the race outright at this point. Can he get it done? He doesn't have a slipstream here, and he does have a car up ahead. He needs to be very careful, but it's 9/10 back. This is huge for TSO40 if he wants to win this stint. GCK will absolutely on the podium in this moment. We have a look. It's a 15.7, and for TSO40, it's 14.6. It's a fastest lap, another one. It's not quite as good as the previous final sector, but he is now 9/10 ahead of GCK, and a big slide. That's not what he wants. His 9/10 lead will shrink. It's 8/10. Will it become 7.5? That's the critical number. He might be getting a slipstream from his teammate. It's 8/10, under 8/10. Will GCK get a slipstream? 7, still clawing down. It's inching either way. 7.69. No! Doesn't get the slipstream. Big moment there. The huge oversteer almost cost him. I think he's getting a slipstream from the THG Belgium car. Ooh, just about misses the apex, but it's not over. GCK is going to come with. They are pulling away from KWE. KWE does not have the pace, as we see Joker pitting from right in front of Pepsi. And the THG Belgium car getting out of the way. That's good driving. Oh. Why am I not getting driver names? Oh well. There's probably some setting I've tweaked. I've only just realised that I don't have driver names. Oh well. TSO40 now getting clear of GCK on the back of the second THG car, running slight interference. It's now 1.2 seconds and only 4.3 seconds between GTSV and TSO40 for glory and honour in Stint 2. They have way more fuel than the Aston Martin ahead, but the Aston Martin only needs to run for 7 more minutes to make it to the next pit stop, and he has 3 laps of fuel to do it with. And now we see the KWE car passing THG Belgium. Been much more competitive from everyone in this stint. GCK struggling to hang on now. He knows that if he wants to win this stint, he needs to stay with TSO40 and make up ground. The only way they catch up to Felipe is with lap of superior performance. It's only a 15.8 on that lap, but it's a 16.1 for Felipe. It's a 16.0 for GCK, 16.6 for KWE. KWE just falling away there, but to be fair, they had traffic. It's getting closer and closer at the front. 5 seconds covers the top 3. It's down to 9/10 again between TSO40 and GCK. TSO40 has been the juggernaut. He has been inching his way closer and closer, regardless what you put in his way, whether it be the KWE team, the GCK team. He's pulled off the line there to try and avoid giving slipstream, but he's 9/10 away. There is no slipstream. Apex, beautiful, runs it wide through Lekum, picks it up for Malmedy, picks up the Apex, running out a little wider than you'd like, but he's now 1.1 seconds ahead. Gets down to the apex of Bruxelles, runs it wide through the mid, picks up the throttle, goes out to the exit curve, brings it back for No Name, using all the road, just kissing apex, using the exit curbing, lovely exit, gaining time, he's now 3.7 off the lead. Looked like he just missed apex at Pouon. Runs it nice and safe through there. Keeping it smooth. It's 1.1. He lost a 10th to Felipe. Felipe looks like he's picking up the pace. He's got slightly worse tyres and a lot less fuel. So the car's probably lighter, and even though the tyres are a little worse, his car probably feels a little better than TSO40's right now. He's lost a second to himself on that stint there. Oh, a bit of a wobble from TSO, but he's only 9/10 down. So he's a 10th quicker, at least, I think. It depends on their respective sector split times. So, TSO40, 3.6 now, making ground. And he's now 1.5 ahead of Alus. He has broken the slipstream and appears to be running away with it, forcing his way closer and closer to Felipe and the GTSV Racing Team car, who won Stint 1, have led basically every lap of Stint 2. It's 2 hours in, 1 hour remaining, and it's a gap of 3.6 seconds. We look as a 16.3 to Felipe, and it's a 15.7 for TSO40. He's made up another 6/10. 16.1 for Alois, and it's a 16.0 for KWE. KWE appears to have stabilised. We are getting closer. CGK, Alan Brabus, I sort of forgot about him for a while, but he is 2.5 seconds ahead of Liam Thurso because he still needs to pit. However, he will come out behind THC Pepsi, who also needs to pit in a very soon time period. But it's 13 seconds between them. Pepsi is fighting to get himself back in this race. Those guys are on the same strategy. Liam Thurso is not. He will only pit one more time in this race, I think. He's got the fuel for at least 8 more laps. That's 16 more minutes. Oh, maybe not. Maybe he has to pit twice. They did this to me in the first stint, the Aquapax guys. They tricked me into thinking they had one less stint on their incredible Audi fuel economy, but they started revving it out in 5th gear and the dream died. Now, Joker is 56 seconds behind Brabus, so he will not overtake him after their long and epic fight. Mike has put 6 seconds into Donati F1, who was a great little battle those two had for multiple laps in the SCW Sports Car Worldwide team, but he has a massive 24-second lead over Dankert, but they both need to stop, and Dankert, with some very good tyres on his car, good tyre life in the THG Belgium car. He may be in 11th place right now, but he is not too far off the leaders. He's not too far off the guys he's fighting. His teammate is still very much in this race. KWE making noise, 4 minutes off the lead, but only a minute 30 off the THG car. They are still in this hunt. We've had no disconnections, no mechanical failures, no driver failures so far. It's been a fantastic race. Over 100 laps of Spa without real issues. Very minor contact, potentially only one incident that saw cars make the fence after coming together. And it's 9 seconds between the top 4 at the front here. TSO40 not making ground on that lap. It's a 15.6 for Felipe. He's brought himself back into the 15s, found 7/10. TSO40 also with a 15.6. Also a 15.6 for GCK, and it's a 16.2 for KWE. Just to, you know, make it a little bit more sensible. We're not doing 15.6s for everybody. great comment saying that Felipe are making Belgium great again. That's a bit rude considering how fast Randy Moore was at the start. But car 888 is still in the lead. He's got it out to 5.8 seconds. I wonder if he was saving fuel, because suddenly he's pulling away down the straight. That looks far quicker in a straight line. I reckon he was saving fuel to make sure he got to the end of this lap, because he will pit at the end of this lap. And he will be right on the limit of fuel once again. He will get to the end of this lap basically right as it crosses the 1 hour to go mark. It has been tight all race whether or not they will make it to the finish without having to save a lap of fuel, without having to give up 5 seconds to make sure they don't cross. He's going as fast as he can. It's now his in-lap. He's pushing as hard as possible. TSO40 with still a quarter of a tank of fuel. GCK also a quarter tank of fuel. But KWE, the most fuel of the top 4, the furthest one back. The tyre wear looking better for Felipe. He's just been looking after them, I reckon. TSO40, or maybe on one side it's better, but one side it's worse. Still 3.8 down. Unable now, the Juggernaut. He's been catching inch by inch by inch. Suddenly, Felipe starting to just hold him off. Has the Juggernaut slowed down, or has Felipe just been hiding his true pace, keeping the tyres under him to make sure he can push at the very last section? Now he will cross into the pit lane with 1 hour and 0 seconds remaining. They are going to make it. They're going to make the end of this race absolutely perfectly on the strategy. Not a single lap extra. And there we see GCK comes in. He's got 2.5 seconds less fuel maybe. He will come out 3 seconds behind. And the KWE also jumps in. He's got another second less fuel. These guys are all fighting to try and undercut one another. They know it's an hour left. They know it's one more stop after this. They're all jumping on the same strategy so that no one undercuts, no one overcuts. They're not trying to make sure they don't run out of tyres and lose time at the end of the stint. TSO40 has run a 14.6 in the last few laps, but he's faded out to mid-15s. Is he going to lose out by staying out a lap? Will he be undercut, or has he been the one hiding his pace? Has more to give, doing 15.7, 15.6, 15.7. And remember, if he does come in this lap, he will have one more lap fresher tyres. Now, we've looked here, KWE has undercut everyone by taking less fuel. He has about 2 seconds less fuel and has come out ahead of GCK. That's unfortunate for him because GCK will pass him on the straight, I'm pretty sure, with the slipstream, but they are only 2.5 seconds behind. So that's the advantage of the AMG. He can take less fuel, goes to the inside and blocks, but GCK is not having it. He refuses to give up, will go around the outside, goes up the inside, takes the position to Lecoum. But now KWE is back within touching distance. They're all on the same tyres. They basically will have the same fuel by the end of the stint. This is calculated driving. They've thought to undercut to try and get themselves back in despite taking less fuel. I think that's good strategy. And they are all gaining on TSO40. His lead is 42.9 seconds. He doesn't need a full fuel, but it's only 2 fewer seconds. And I reckon takes about 45 seconds. It will be tight to see if he can come out ahead of these guys. It depends on his sector splits. Does he box this lap? Does he box next lap? He stays out. He wants to make the next stint as short as possible. He's going to cut as much fuel out of the remainder of this race as he can. He knows he's giving up a second a lap at this point, but he knows that he'll have the tyres to fight. There's no point boxing this lap because if he has to fight them, he won't have any advantage. He's going to go another 2 laps and he will come out with 3 lap fresher tyres and way less fuel to put in at the final stop. But we go back to KWE versus GCK. It's a 10.5 and he's had to lift off to try and not run into the back of him in order to stay in slipstream distance. If he was really top level clever, he would sit here and save fuel and then just pass him at the next pit stop. The Mercedes has a better fuel economy so far in this race. However, if he can hang on to the track position, or a bit of weaving here from GCK. Now, That's not entirely legal. Weaving is not particularly legal. It's very frowned upon when you see people trying to break the slipstream like that, because the argument in Formula 1 is that, oh, I'm not defending my position, but if you are weaving and it results in you having a fight that you win because you weave to break the slipstream, that is in effect defending your position. So you have to be very careful about when and how you make your moves. As KWE is 2/10 back, does he lift? He is coasting. He's saving fuel. This is the strategy. This is how KWE plan to jump their way, not into necessarily third place, but potentially second or even first place. They are a mere 2 seconds off the lead of this stint. They are 8 seconds off the lead of this race overall. They have playing the clever strategy. Any fuel he can save. Oh no, we've got a car running wide in the middle of all this. It's making noise for KWE's second team. He's right in the middle of the top three. The lights are flashing on the KWE team car. Please notice me. We're in a fight. We need to go through. Please leave. This is stressful stuff for KWE. And so KWE, oh no, GCK flashing KWE, but it's KWE right on the back of GCK. It looks like he's going to save fuel, but both of them have the slipstream, so it's not going to be easy pickings for the lead KWE car. And that's very well sporting, gets out of the way on the run to Blanchimont and makes it easy. Nice little lift there, just making sure to stay in the slipstream and save some fuel. He knows he's short-filled on this stint, so he has to find a good 12 litres of fuel. But the AMG has been more fuel efficient in this race. TSO40 goes for another lap. He hasn't actually lost ground. It was 42.9 at the start. It's 42.6. It was a 16.2 for Felipe. And now the SCW car comes out of the pits and he'll give him a slipstream, but there's nothing he can do with it because the car is so slow out of pit lane. There's nothing SCW can do. The car's just slower off the slow line, and it holds Felipe up a little bit, has to lift through Eau Rouge, and that allows GCK to get a little bit closer. And now we're seeing more lifting and coasting and just sneaky fuel usage. He knows he has to do this if he wants to stay in the race. He realizes he's short-filled, but in short-filling, he knows he can make the fuel back in the slipstream. SCW now in fresh tyres, looking to try and hook on to Felipe. It's 5/10 between GCK and KWE. KWE doing all they can here. It's just clever. We don't have the pace, but we have the strategy. We have the smarts. They are working every angle they have, and it's a mistake. He'll lose the slipstream here. But on the flip side, GCK might be getting dirty air from the SCW car any moment. And he's in the dirty air, but KWE made a mistake there, and it's a 1.5 second gap. He's going to not be able to save as much fuel as he'd hoped. It's all gone wrong for them. He undercut by taking a good 2 seconds less fuel, 15 litres at least. And now he's found himself out of slipstream, 1.5 seconds back. He was only 2 seconds off the net leader. But TSO40 is in, waiting to get service here. Felipe needs to have a cracking lap here to take the lead back from TSO40. There are 52 minutes remaining. He only needs to do shorter stints than everyone else. He's done 8 more minutes running. Can TSO40... Oh, big slide! And it's a spin and a crash! Felipe has bent it! He has crashed coming out of the bus stop chicane. Engine damage, front spoiler damage, front left damage. That's absolutely a pit stop. That's the lead of the race. GTSV are in shambles. That's shocking news for them. Oh no, and out the other side, TSO40 is going to get one slipstream And oh no, KWE in behind TSO40 to try and fight for what is now second and third. TSO40 getting slipstream from SCW, needs to pass him so he can attack GCK for the win. He went for a full tank, meaning he is pushing his fuel advantage into the next stint. SCW not letting him through, and that's going to be hard work for TSO40 now. But we look back and oh no, he's been passed by Liam Thurso, who still needs to make an extra pit stop, but now so will Felipe. GTSV is losing time. They've definitely lost the lead of the race, and it's a question of will they hang on to second now. GCK was about a minute and 40 down, but because he's got engine damage at the start of the lap, he's going to lose at least 30 seconds, probably more like 40, and have to take an extra pit stop, do the repairs. He will come out a good minute and 30 down. This is huge for KWE. They are now the leaders of this race. GCK are fighting to take P2 away. Where is THG Belgium? They are not close enough to make an impact on this one, even with the damaged pit stop. Mike in for regular service as he comes in for his second last stop. TSO40, big bit of mistake there. So was KWE. KWE just hanging on to the slipstream. No! Unlucky for them. They are now only 2.4 seconds off the lead of this stint, but in the net lead overall. TSO40, the juggernaut. We thought Felipe had done enough. We thought he was holding off TSO40. It looked like he had the pace on that lap before he made the mistake. And suddenly, it's all come unstuck. He's down 20 seconds on this lap, plus the 7 he lost on the previous lap. It's only getting worse as the long straights punish the damaged engine. Losing time, hand over fist. GCK Alan Brabus will be able to close up. He only needs one more stop. That will be a legitimately 4-position fight. And Pebsy has passed Joker in there. I apologise to Team 113. I was not paying attention to your comeback story as you continue to fight towards GCK Alan Brabus. But you guys will be fighting legitimately 4-position with Felipe GTSV, the former race leader, the stint leader. They've led the first 5 hours of this race, but one tiny little mistake, a little bit of oversteer, and nothing can be done to save them into the wall on the exit of the bus stop. A full lap with engine damage. Nothing can be done. Time lost, hand over fist, but the race is not over. We saw how fast GTSV Randy Moore was. If he can find a way to carve out a strategy advantage, they might be able to make their way back in. The race is not over. Anything can happen. KWE are leading right now, but it's a very fragile lead, and he runs wide. It could be ended just that quickly. It's now 2 seconds between the leaders, 4.5 for the top 4. Felipe comes back out. He is 2 seconds ahead of Pebsy. They are racing for position, both of them with 1 stop remaining. Felipe has not taken tyres, but has taken fuel, so he will have a shorter final stop than the guys around him. He is now racing for position, and they will have no reason to give him any slack, but they are all racing their own races for time and position. It's 1.2 seconds between Febsy and Felipe. Will Felipe feel gun-shy, or will he come out furious, red mist, full attack, trying to make back the time he lost? He is only 1 minute off the lead at this point. That has not been nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. He must have got a much shorter pit stop by only taking a small amount of fuel and not taking tyres. It was a clever strategy to minimise the amount of time lost by the pit stop on the back of losing a full 40 seconds with the damage. It is not all over. So GCK are still definitely third place then. Felipe and Team GTSV are now second. They are 4.6 off the lead, which means it is 1 minute 3. It's 50 seconds between Felipe and the KWE AMG for first place. It is not even close to being over. It is a long way from over. It is so far from over, we're not even halfway there. But Pebsy can sense another attacking position. He wants the P5 overall. He doesn't care if Felipe has to take him with him. He wants to beat everyone in front of him. He's had to fight his way back after early damage, and he's managed to make his strategy work. And Felipe now 106 back off the lead. He's making ground. A little squirrel there. Hearts in mouths. Manages to keep it more than 7/10 ahead of Pebsy. Pebsy gets no slipstream. Pebsy wants that slipstream because he needs to get his way up to GCK Alan Brabus if he wants to try and fight for that podium against GCK Alois, the second GCK car, who he is in direct competition with after the first stint. He is in the slipstream. This is not what Felipe wants. The man wants to just focus on doing his stint. Goes to the right hand side. Now wanders sort of back to the left. He's in the middle of the road. Huge overspeed. But he coasts out. Pebsy sensibly deciding not to try and make a lunge. But Felipe is all over the place. He's clearly rattled. He's not used to looking in his mirrors. He's been focused, always ahead. Nothing to worry about. The gap may come up or down, but he's been in the lead the entire time. And now he's looking in his mirror. He's thinking about the car behind. He's not thinking about his lines. He has been tilted by this crash. It has thrown their race upside down. They are now falling away from GCK at the lead. GCK is pulling away from everyone. He's done a 15.4. Look at these last few laps. 15.5, 15.5, 15.5, 15.5, 15.4. That is consistency. That is execution. The lap time on 54 and 57 is the same. I have never seen a lap time spread that tight to see 4 lap times within a tenth of a second, including 2 that are exactly the same. TSO 40, he's good, but 15.4, 15.6 is not the same as 5.5, 5.5 and a 4. KWE, they're saving fuel. They're not 100% on this fight anymore. They've lost the slipstream. That 15.5 has disappeared. It's now 16s. They haven't got the pace. They need to save fuel to try and make back ground. But I don't know why they're trying to save that much fuel. They've basically caught back to GCK's fuel level. But they're now 5 seconds behind. Liam Thurso will come out ahead of Brabus when he's done with his pit stop. There it is. Fuel done. He'll now exit the pit lane ahead of the second GCK car, which is being chased down by Felipe. Felipe is now 4/10 down. What's happened here? Suddenly, he's given up. Alan Brabus has given up 7 seconds. He's made a mistake, and now Felipe is 3/10 back. Pebsy is 1 second back. Pebsy wants revenge. He reckons he was pushed off in the early part of this race by the GCK car. He wants to catch up and make his pass known. Now we see Felipe pulling out. Had to duck back into the slipstream. Pulls out once again. Still hasn't quite got in front of GCK. The GCK car's got more top end. Brakes around the outside. Turns down. Gets to the apex, and he is through. The former race leader, now position 2 overall, makes his pass done on GCK, and that lets Pebsy into the slipstream. He will be desperate to get through. He's got much better tyres. He now needs to use those better tyres in the tricky sector 2, in the dirty air, to stay in the slipstream in order to effect a pass on the run up to Blanchimont or on the Kemmel Straight. Now he's got a better run there. You can see that GCK is just slipping and sliding a little bit oversteery, whereas the Aston Martin looks far more planted, but he touches the AstroTurf. It costs him. It's a big slide. It's nearly death, and the lead goes out to 7/10. However, he knows he's got more grip. He knows he's got more speed, and he's got a point to prove. 16.2 is about as quick as the leaders. No, that's wide. That's too wide, and he's going to drag himself out of slipstream. He just needs to calm down and make it work. He knows he's got more grip. He knows he can make the straight line work. If you let him know, he's got more fuel as well. He's absolutely going to beat GCK. He just needs to do it sensibly and calmly. He's got the pace, he's got the fuel, he's got the grip. He just needs to get it done. We check back in on the leaders, and It's 1.5 seconds between GCK and a different THG. We've got 2 THG drivers chasing 2 GCK drivers. 42 minutes remain in the second stint. We are 5 hours and 5 hours and 18 minutes into this race, and we are still seeing massive fights all over the place. The positions are not sorted. Nothing is certain. Anything can happen. And it's another 15.5 for GCK. The man is on a mission. But TS040 with a 15.1. You're doing consistent 15.5s? I'll raise you one. Can you keep up with my pace now, little Frenchman? The Englishman hunting down his natural rival, the French GCK team. He gets a better run out of Stavolo. He's now inching his way forward, but the GCK car has more straight line speed when they are on their own. This is thrilling stuff. Pebsy 4/10 back. He just needs to be sensible. No, another wheel spin. He's not being sensible. He's trying too hard. He needs to dial it back 0.5% and just let the pace of the car do the work. He's not going to get the overtake done before Pouon. He needs to just chill out and get the job done out in the big long straight. And it's a 15.8. The curse is broken. GCK's concentration has faltered. 15.3 for TS040. Those 3-lap fresher tyres are starting to make a difference. Now, just as GCK Alius is making up slight mistakes. That consistent run as the fuel and tyres matched each other. It's over. It's now the tyres starting to degrade as the fuel comes out. TS040 is still laps away from that period. He's about to hit his little butter zone where he can run low 15 after low 15 after low 15. They're now 4 seconds clear of KWE. They tried as hard as they could to make themselves back in this race. They changed up their strategy, tried to short fill the car, brought themselves back into the race, but in the end it hasn't worked for this stint. However, they are leading the race overall. Their main rival at this stage, with that small mistake, punished heavily. Back to 5th place, 1:07 off the lead. They are driving now as hard as they can to make back the time. And now, here we go. Pebsy, 3/10 down on GCK Alan Brabus. Brabus now has to try and defend on the way up the hill. Pebsy gets himself sorted through the source. Just got to get a clean exit. Safe and smooth. Smart decision. Didn't do anything crazy. Didn't get on the power too hard. Trying to make the overtake happen before Eau Rouge. However, he's got a big overspeed, but he can't do anything with it. Goes for the small lift. Interesting choice. Could have been worse, could have been more, but he'll now have to rebuild the overspeed. He'll get there. The Aston is very quick in a straight line. The slipstream pulling. He now moves to the inside, and he has the overspeed. He has the overlap. He will be cleanly ahead when they break for Lecombe, but he's now 1:10 off the leaders, and somehow TS040's got through. God damn it, I moved away. I'm so sorry. It looks like GCK has made a mistake in Pouon, lost 9/10, and that has been the end of it. Oh, there was no way TS040 was getting through, but that's frustrating. I didn't see it. And it's a 17.9 for GCK. They'll be disappointed. Yeah, if TS040's done a 15.2, he has done nothing different. He didn't do anything to make the pass. Bit of a slide there, bit of lag. Made it look worse than it was. But that is the stint lead. TS040. He has gone from the back row at the start of this stint to the lead. It took him 2 hours and 20 minutes. He's had to come back from about 20 or 30 seconds back, but attacking. Fastest man on the track, fastest lap in this stint. He now leads the stint. GCK third overall, but second in this stint. They are now running a different race. TS040 has the fuel over everyone. He has the tyre condition. Running long helped him in the previous stints. KWE doesn't quite have the fuel. Might be a little bit short, but tyres about the same as the GCK car. Liam Thurso doing a great job for Aquapax Racing. They've been basically unnoticed here in 4th place, but he's doing a fantastic job keeping his car in the fight, as he and his teammate Groot making up big ground on their team car of AXR Joker and AXR Eclipse. It's almost a shame that Liam and Eclipse went together, because they probably would be looking at P5 overall, maybe P4 even. With their effort. No, it would be P4, because Pebsy is right behind them. He's now only 3 seconds behind Felipe, and he wants potentially a bite out of Liam Thurso. I don't know if they have enough fuel to get to the end, but it'll be a much shorter stop than the guys behind, who have significantly less fuel. They've got about 5 seconds less fuel, but they are only 8 seconds behind. They're only 10 seconds behind. These guys are not done fighting for their positions. Joker only 10 seconds behind Brabbers, but they both need to stop again. Donati is a full minute behind Joker, but he is 12 seconds ahead of his race-long rival, Danker. He's got more fuel, but his tire quality isn't there. It doesn't matter, they both have to stop again. Oh, and Mike looking like... Oh no, Mike is not having dramas, he's just letting everyone through very politely for the Polywords racing team, making sure not to get in the way of the fight for the lead. That's very kind of him, knowing that it's not really his race to be involved with. But he's only 35 seconds ahead of KWE making noise. They have refused to give up. They have soldiered on and pressed on, refusing to slow down, continuing to drive as best as they can. They want to finish this race, and they will take any positions that come their way. That's how endurance racing works. That's never give up. That's the kind of attitude we love to see. And back at the front, TSO40 pulling away now. He's making his gap known. It looks like GCK, after being rattled, made a mistake, lost the lead of the stint, but going back to a 16-1, KWE almost as quick on the previous lap, a bit more consistent in the last few. It must be his tyre wear, not meaning he's running out of grip as aggressively. Felipe running a 15.9 versus Liam Thurso at 16.2. I don't know if Liam Thurso is going to be caught. He's got 5 seconds more fuel. Pebsy with a 16.2. He's not catching either. So Liam Thurso is going to end up putting Aquapax Racing fourth in this stint if he can keep it together. He's got really good tyres at this point. He's got plenty of fuel. It'll be a small splash and dash at the finish, but I could see that being a lot worse for many other people. They need a big fill. We'll give TSO40 a bit of airtime here for a fantastic stint. 11th to 1st in 2.5 hours. Whether or not he stays there, it looks like he's got the pace, but as we saw from Felipe, a tiny little mistake, a little oversteer that becomes a big oversteer, becomes a race-changing moment. It's never over until it's over. You have to fight the entire way. Nothing is given to you in an endurance race. Everything is fought for, every single inch. You have to be focused, you have to be maximum attack, maximum precision. You give up a tiny mistake for 1 second, and that's it. 2.5 hours of work gone. Your teammates' previous 3 hours gone, and now you have to spend all that time working your way back to try and get back on terms with the leaders. They are 1 minute and 2 seconds behind KWE, which means they are still 50 seconds behind overall in the race, but they have their fast man still to come back in, and we know that Felipe was in front of the KWE car. We know that he had the pace, he had the strategy. He could, in theory, take 10, 15, maybe even 20 seconds in their next stint over KWE. And KWE know that. They have to work out how best to maximize their car. They've already shown they have the ability to try different strategies. They've been willing to test. They've been willing to do things that are different. They have been all over making as much as they can from this race. And it's up to the other guys to try and go with them on that, instead of sticking to their strategies, seeing how best they can maximize their cars, seeing what else they can do to try and catch up, or in the result of having a lead, make it a bigger one. That's what I was saying back in the first stint. It's not enough to win, but it is to win by as much as possible. You can't back off for a single lap, because you need to be at full attack the whole way, because you never know what happens next. Ooh, running wide there from GCK. That could have been costly. It's now 3.5 seconds to the lead. The tyre wear's kicked in. He's out into the 16s. But TS040 with a 15.2. Another great lap. Let's see what this one clocks in at. Crosses the line with 32 minutes remaining. It's a 2:15.5. Might be the start of the tyres fading for him. It's a 16.2 for GCK and a 16.1 for KWE. Liam Thurso with a 15.9. That's his PB. He's pulling away from Felipe. He's pulling away from Pebsy. Pebsy's pulling away from Alan Brabus. That's fantastic. Everyone is making ground on everyone else. It's just not over. It's simply never over. I would have not expected Liam Thurso to be able to pull away from the man who was so comfortably leading this race, had the pace over everyone. But right now, Liam Thurso has found his rhythm. He has found his groove. He's giving it 10 tenths, and he's pulling away from the man who was the fastest guy on the track. He's lost a minute in this race by getting through traffic in the early parts of this race, but at the moment, he's as fast as the leaders. So it's a great effort from Aquapax. They've had two drivers doing a fantastic job in their stints to run very quick times, to run consistent times, to make themselves known over the race stint. It's not about that one glory lap time. You can see 14.6 and go, wow, that's faster than I can go. But it doesn't matter if you go and miss the next lap, miss an apex, and end up with a 15.8. You need to be doing those 15.5s consistently, or those 15.2s. Whatever it is, you need to do it consistently. And that consistency is where this race is going to be won. And that's what they've achieved at KWE, as we see Joker pitting for what should be the last time at Aquapax in this stint. He is 15 seconds behind Brabus, and I can't see those two changing, and he's a full minute ahead of Donati, whose gap to Dankert has come down to 10 seconds. The tyre wear for THG Dankert 77 in the THG Belgium car is allowing them to make up ground at the end of the stint. That fight isn't over either. He's made up a second a lap on the last couple of laps, and I don't know who's right behind him. TS040 now 4.5 seconds up the road. It's a 2:15.9. It wasn't a good lap, and that'll be because GCK and KWE both box. KWE with less fuel on board. He took 15 less litres of fuel at the exit of the last pit stop, and it ended up meaning he only had 4 less litres in this one, so he's made back 10 of them. However, it is too large of a gap, 2.5 seconds. You know, if he did it again, if he was so bold as to do it again, he could almost steal the slipstream from GCK in the final stint if he was so bold as to short fill once again. We'll keep an eye on GCK and see where these two come out of the pits, and we'll go back and look at the Liam Thurso, Felipe and THG Pebsy GCK Brabus fight, because that is one big fight. Let's see what the fuel is. It's a full tank for GCK. It is 91 for KWE, but it's not enough to get him back within slipstream range. It's 1.8 seconds. He's only a second less on fuel. He needed another second somewhere. But they will now be good to the finish on the strategy. Liam Thurso still has half a tank, still needs to do 14 laps. I don't think he's got that kind of fuel, so it's a splash and dash left for him. Felipe also still needs fuel. Right, Brabus, that will shake this up. He's come in before everyone else. Pebsy is still 1, maybe 2 laps away. I would guess 1. Felipe is 2, maybe 3 laps away as well. So the men at the back will come in first. They'll get the fresh tyres, the chance to potentially undercut and steal a position late in this race with 28 minutes remaining in the second stint. We are coming up on 6 hours, the halfway mark of this race. seems to have been chilling out a little bit, but the race isn't done. TSO40 leading by 49 seconds. We know that he was able to hold the lead from 45 seconds in the previous stint. So he knows he's in the lead. He knows he has less fuel to take on. He's got 3 laps of fuel left on him. So he can push for the next 3 laps before worrying about taking tyres and coming in. If he wanted to, he could come in and short fuel ever so slightly, evening out the tyre wear. But I think he wants to go deep into this race, carry out, run to the next stint, only put in 3/4 of a tank and try and bury a new fastest lap, push it down from a 14.6 to a 14.2, get it close to GTSV Randy Moore's opening mark in the first stint. GCK getting traffic with the second KWE car again, making noise. Very kindly goes to the pits, ends up not hurting GCK at all. As the second KWE car, a big slide, gets out on the AstroTurf, and that 1.3 second gap becomes a 2 second gap instantly once he gets out onto that green stuff, because you get no grip. You just generate heaps of wheel spin, and the car goes nowhere. And Liam Thurso continues to pull away from Felipe. Felipe just tilted right now in the 16s. He would have been doing 15s if this was the first part of the race. He's just tilted. To his credit though, he hasn't completely fallen off the rails and fallen apart. Pebsy boxes this time. His gap is 47 seconds, but he doesn't need a full tank. He can shave a couple of litres out of it. Probably something in the region of 10 or 15. He doesn't need all the extra laps. Joker only 15 seconds behind, and I think he's closer to making it to the end than his teammate. So he might make it. Bravis 47 seconds back. I'd expect him to come out not too far behind Pebsy, maybe 4 seconds. You'd say that his outlap has been a time gain on those fresh tyres. Love the computer updating to say that he's ahead of Pebsy, but Pebsy will exit the pits. There he comes. Let's have a look from Bravis' point of view. There's Pebsy appearing on the exit. You can just see him, but he's just out of reach. Even with the 1 second he'll gain down the hill, it won't be enough to give him a slipstream. It'll be 2.7, 2.5, 2.2, 2.0 basically by the end of the straight, but it's not enough. Bravis will stay behind Pebsy. They will fight on in the race. Ooh, looks like he ran wide, Pebsy. Cost him a bit more time, but he now is 50 seconds behind Felipe, who will be pitting next lap because he still has 10 litres of fuel left. It's not red yet, which means he will go at least one more lap, which will mean that Liam will probably continue going along. I don't know if he will pit early or if he will run the thing out of fuel or not. It's up to him as to what strategy he wants to do. Does he want to react to Felipe, or does he want to run his race as fast as he can? Checking back in on the leaders, TSO40, another lap in. It's a 16.0. The tyre wear's starting to catch up with him. It's a 15.6 for GCK. It's a good first flying lap. KWE doesn't have the speed at this stage. It's 16.2. Just a little narrow there. It looks like he's fighting understeer in the setup and he's not too comfy. And there we go. Felipe will do another lap. He's now 1:11 off the lead. But that will change when they both pit, so it's not really telling us anything. But Pebsy, it was 50 seconds, it's now 49. He's making ground. Oh, a bit wide through Stavelo though. He's not making ground anymore. There goes all the ground he made. Instead of taking 2/10, he's lost it. Oh, and it looks like we've seen Bravis run wide in the previous corner, and he's got himself a penalty because he's gone from 2 seconds down to 4 seconds down. It's so punishing. You run wide, you make a mistake, you lose time, and then the game gives you a track limits penalty. But he has to clear the penalty before the end of the lap, otherwise he will be sanctioned by race control, because you have to serve those penalties. They do not like it when you cross the line with a penalty, because it looks like you're trying to cheat the system. And he's done the job, he's got it to clear, but it has cost him so much time. It's a 2:19. It's cost him at least 2 seconds that lap with the mistake, and now he's 6 seconds behind Pebsy. It's so cruel, it's so punishing, and that's why not getting penalties, not accidentally making the mistakes, that's where the races are won and lost. He was so much closer to Pebsy at the start of this lap. So they both had Oh no, it was a 209 versus a 211, I apologize. Felipe now 6 seconds behind Liam Thurso. Liam refusing to go down. He's still keeping the pace. Felipe will box this lap. Will Liam react, or will he go one, maybe two more laps and then just let his fuel advantage carry him home ahead of Felipe? He's 1 minute 6 off the lead, but both drivers need to pit. TSO40 has less fuel, but he's still got at least one more lap of fuel in his car. I would say it'll be tight if he gets 2 more laps, and he's been running short on that number by about 1 litre every single stint. The gap is down to 48.6. It's another 15.6 for GCK. This race is not quite over. TSO40, it looked like he had it done. It looked like he had it sewn up. He's got 10 litres left now, which means he won't have enough for an extra lap. He will box this lap on lap 69 in order to take his final pit stop. He will fill the car to about 2/3, 3/4. He'll have a nice light car to fight with. He should be well ahead of GCK because he will not fill the car all the way up. But it's another 16.1 for KWE. They're just not quick enough. They're losing time. Needs half a second a lap here in this phase, unless he's trying to look after the tyres to make a late attack. Felipe now in for what is hopefully his final stop. That mark on the front left, a reminder of how the race changed in hour 5. Hour 5 in hour 6. This is technically the 6th hour, even though it's 5 hours and something. English is weird. But his gap to Pebsy is only 47 seconds, so Pebsy will come out very close to him, potentially 5 seconds behind or so. And it's a PB for Pebsy by 300. It's a 15.3. You can see him taking the time attack line to the start-finish line, trying his absolute best to sneak a little more time, and that would have saved him a couple of thousand, made his time look better, as TSO40 pits from a 48-second lead. And Pebsy is 2.8 behind Felipe. He hasn't got enough. Now Liam Thurso is 51 seconds up with a pit stop to do. When he takes his pit stop is up to him, but he should be able to hold on to 4th place when he does. It's 48.3 between GCK and TSO40. GCK needing these really good laps to put pressure on TSO40. They don't necessarily have what it takes in this stint to beat TSO40, but if you put pressure on him, he can make a mistake. And when people make mistakes here, we've seen it's not the normal 5/10th mistake. It's an 8/10th mistake. It's a crash in the wall. Sorry, it's an 8-second mistake, or it's a crash in the wall which leads to a pit stop. Only a 15.9. It's not going to be enough. TSO40 with 84 litres. That's far too much. He's given himself Aston Martin levels of fuel, and he comes out with less than 20 rounds remaining. 5.5 second lead. It'll be under 5 seconds by the top of the hill, but he has less fuel than the guys behind him who have been burning more fuel all race. It won't be the low fuel super speed run where I was hoping for. Liam Thurso decides to box with 20 minutes to go. He's decided that he's going to even out the tyres over the last 2 stints in order to make as best pace as possible. It'll be a short fuel stint because he doesn't need as much as the guys around him. He's already got 28. He only needs about 50 tops, and he will be away probably 10 seconds clear of Felipe in the GTS Racing Team car, who currently reads as 157 down, but that will reduce once we clear the TSO40 pit stop. Liam Thurso is out the other side already, and he's got far less fuel than I was expecting. It's about the same as the guys around him, and I think they have been one of the most fuel efficient teams this race. However, he has to make sure that he can do that final lap, because that final lap will cost him time. If he is slow and still on the lead lap, that last lap will count towards his time. He needs to make sure not to run out of fuel. It's not as simple as getting to the last lap, it's finishing the last lap. Top 3 separated by 9 seconds at this point in time. Pebsy trying to have a crack at Felipe. It's 2.2 seconds still. He's now 9 seconds ahead of Bravis, who is 15 seconds ahead of Joker. He's good to the finish. Donati is good to the finish. He must have stopped probably on that last lap. Full tank and new tyres. Full tank unnecessary. But That will make the fight for THG Dankert and the THG Belgium team far more interesting. They've got slightly more worn tyres, but there is so much less fuel in the car. He's got a way lighter car. That's a good 40 litres. That's 30-something kilos. That's a huge increase in weight. That's a good 3%. If you said take 3% out of my car, you'd say I'm 6/10 quicker. Thank you very much. So, this is now the fight. Donati for the sports car... Sorry. That was a croak and a half. Sorry, Sports Car Worldwide team. Okay, just throw it through myself up there. So, Donati F1 for the Sports Car Worldwide team. 1.7 seconds ahead of THG Dankert. He runs his outlap in a 2:12.5. That is about the same pace that Dankert did his outlap, but Dankert much lighter on fuel. He's got slightly worse tyres, but can he make inroads to try and take a position in the final 15 minutes of this race? Looks like Pebsy hasn't been able to make any ground on Felipe, who's pulling away. It's a 15.9 for Felipe, and it's a 16.0 for Pebsy. Liam Thurso still 15 seconds up the road on these guys. KWE a 15.8 to GCK's 15.6, and that's the outlap for TSO40. We'll see on this lap what pace he has. It looks like he has already worn a fair bit of his tyres out on the last 2 laps. So TSO40 working the car very hard, but he's got a 6-second lead almost for the end of the second stint. 15 minutes remaining. It's going to be 8 more laps. Do you have 8 more laps of fuel, gentlemen? Hopefully you do. It will be a very tight finish for those less with near enough 50 litres of fuel left. They may run out of fuel, just as Randy Moore did with literally 10 feet left to go. The car cut out of fuel right there and he coasted across the line. It's a 15.1 for TSO40. He's off and away. It's a 15.3 for GCK, but I don't think it matters. That's a very weird line being taken there by GCK with 15 minutes to go. His lead over KWE is 3 seconds. His last lap was a 15.4. Everyone quick on that last lap. William Thurso seemingly on a PB this lap. It's 14.9 back to Felipe, who's 2.3 ahead. We check back in with Donati. He's still 1.5 ahead of THG Dankert. The THG Belgium car, desperate for one last piece of glory. He's had a long race. They fought for lap after lap. They were separated, and now, thanks to the strategy decision, Dankert has found himself right on the back of Donati once again. It's 17.7 plays 17.6. He made up a 10th. They're getting closer bit by bit, but that's how it is with endurance racing. 5 tenths now. The last lap. Must have made a mistake, GCK here. He's losing a bit more time. Looks like he's just losing focus here. 15 minutes to go. There's only 7 more laps after this one. It's almost done. Just needs to stay focused. Never mind, it looks like we saw even more time lost by KWE. They need to get back in this race. They are going to be leading, but it's a question of by how much. They are 9.8 off the lead. Liam Thurso does set a PB with a 15.9 on that previous lap. Half tank of fuel, brand new tyres. That's fast. Felipe does a 15.5, so does Pebsy, but that 14-second gap is too much. So if KWE are 10 seconds off the lead and Felipe for GTSV is 1 minute 15, they are 1 minute and 5 behind in this stint, meaning the gap is something in the region of 1 minute overall. Felipe has gone cold in this second half of the stint, probably the team telling him to just chill out and bring it home, refocus for the second stint to go hard, and also let Randy Moore fire it up and go for broke to try and win this race over KWE in the overall positions. Team 113 staying within touching distance. I think they are still 4th after that early drama with a damaged pit stop, but I'm pretty sure GCK have taken 3rd overall. So I believe the leaderboard shows KWE in first, GCK in second. It will be... Sorry, KWE in first, GTSV in second, GCK in third, and Team 113 in fourth. Beyond that, I'm not entirely sure if the AXR or the second GCK team are in 5th and 6th. Beyond that, we'll have to work that one out in the race steward's box in the middle of this race. And it's a 17.6 for Donati and a 17.5 for Dankert, another 10th, down to 1.4. And then it goes out to 1.6, but out to 1.5 again. And we have blue flags, but we're not quite sure what for, because they are a long way back. Oh, and Mike has a penalty, and he needs to pit one more time, meaning that he and Making Noise will end up basically on top of each other once again after the pit stop. Makes the choice to clear the penalty nice and early rather than waiting towards the end of the lap. It's now 7.2. TSO40 is looking to make a 10-second lead here. He's pushing as hard as he can. It'll be another low 15. And he's pulling away for the THG Duodesk Racing team. He's done a fantastic job pulling the car up from 11th to lead in the second stint, which means his teammate, which is THG Isaac, will start from pole position in stint 3. How long he can hold on to it, I'm not sure. And as a result of this fantastic stint from TSO40, I have no idea how far up the leaderboard the Duodesk Racing Team car has risen from 11th place, but it's another 15-1. He's gone 15-1, 15-2, 15-1. TSO40 being ever consistent, pushing very hard. It's a 15-9 for GCK, and it's a 15-6 for KWE. Maybe, just maybe, KWE not done with this yet, but he's gone a little bit wide there. That's going to hurt him. He's lost half a second for that. Yep, that's costly. It is now 13 seconds between Liam Thurso and Felipe. Felipe doing mid-15s. Liam Thurso just 16 on that last lap. Maybe the car's balance not so good on low fuel, even though the tyres are there. And interestingly, Pebsy also doing a 15.5. He's running with Felipe. He knows that was the man who was leading, and he wants to beat him. I don't know if he'll get there, but he has cleared the second GCK car of ALN Brabus, and he's put in 15 seconds down. Joker 17 further seconds behind on that. We are under 10 minutes remaining in the second stint. And now Donati, we check back in Donati versus Dankert. And Dankert has it down to 1 second. It was a 17.4 versus a 17.7. Dankert's had a great run with 17.6, 9, 6.4, 6.54. All those lap times in the same second bracket. Donati, since his pit stop, has run 17.7, 17.6, 17.7. Also very consistent. It's been really impressive how every single driver has gone through periods where their lap times were incredibly consistent. 1/10 variations, 2/10 variations, 3/10 variations over multiple laps, despite the fact that we're driving on one of the longer courses. It's 7.004 kilometers long. There are a multitude of corners, very tricky parts of the track where tiny errors cost big time, and we're seeing incredibly consistent results driving from all across the spectrum here. Dankert here is 3 minutes 15 off the lead, but his lap times have been consistent. It doesn't matter how fast you are, it matters how consistent you can be. Oh, and he'll get a good run through here as well. Make up a little bit of time on Donati. Just quickly check and make sure nothing's happening. Yeah, looks like KWE lost a bit of ground there. And we'll go back to... and Mike, with his pit stop, did end up behind Making Noise. So that will be another race to look at. But for the moment, we'll focus on Dankert versus Donati. Dankert with a better run, stays flat. Tyres are not in as good condition, but the car is so much lighter. It's only 8 minutes to go. He only needs to do 4 more laps. He has 4 laps to try and catch Donati. He's in the slipstream now. He has an opportunity to make up ground. They will fight. It's 4 laps to go. Granted, I'm not sure if they're fighting for position in the race, but they are fighting for position on track, and that's all they're going to be thinking about. And the gap blows out again. 17.7 plays 17.9. It's now under a second. It looks like Donati is better in some sections and Dankert's better in others. As we see Mike closing right onto the back of Making Noise. Car slightly lighter, but completely brand new tyres with 7 minutes to go. If he can clear Making Noise, he can probably set his own personal best lap time for the race. He's got it down to 5/10, stays flat up through Eau Rouge, through Radion, gaining once again. Making Noise goes from left to the right. He has to pick a side, goes back to the left, but Mike is able to find a hole and he clears Making Noise, who has tried very valiantly to hold on to 11th place in the last 7 minutes of this race. Stint 2 of the World Tour Racing Club Spa 12 hours using GT3 machinery. That will probably be the end of that fight between these two. The tyre quality, it's just so good for Mike. He should have no problems breaking the slipstream and driving away. Unfortunately for him to have to need that late pit stop, but he's made use of it and managed to get away with it. Back to Dankert versus Donati. It's 1.5 seconds, sorry, 1.3 seconds, 1.2. They're just outside slipstream distance, and I believe we're getting more and more blue flags, which must mean the leaders are catching. He hasn't got as good a run this time, Dankert. It's now 1.3 and it's staying there. He's been chipping away 2/10, 1/10 every lap since lap 69, and all of that lead has disappeared here on this lap as it goes out to 1.3 seconds. Down to 1.2 now, but it's just not within touching distance. He has 3 more laps to go. 3 more chances to try and get past Donati. Donati's so good on the brakes for bus stop. Dankert gets out the other side a little better, but it's a 17.9 versus a 17.6. He's lost 4/10. Oh, and Making Noise has lost ground as Mike is now 4 seconds ahead. Oh, that's because he's been lapped by the Team 113 car. And it was a personal best for Mike with a 2:16.159. And yeah, so it would have been Pebsy and Felipe. Felipe, 2 seconds ahead of Pebsy. He's trying as hard as he can. It's 16.1s. Pebsy with 15.6. It's not over. Again, these guys will get 3 more laps. They will sneak an extra lap in, and that time will all matter. They probably have enough fuel, these guys. Liam Thurso needs to do 3 laps. He will have just enough fuel as well. And his gap has come down against Felipe, but it's enough to not worry about it. Now Liam Thurso, he has caught THG Dankert, who is chasing down the SCW car of Donati. It looks like that fight is once again reignited. Oh, that was Liam Thurso passing the THG car, so hoping to maybe get a slipstream to pull him up towards the SCW car. Checking back in on the leaders. I wish I'd stop bumping buttons. 2 laps remain for KWE in 3rd place in this stint, but leading overall. 4 seconds behind GCK, and they are a full 10 seconds behind THG TSO40 for THG Duodesc Racing. His last few laps have been 15.2, 15.1, 15.0, and then he made a mistake with a 15.5 and went straight back to the 15.2s. He is trying as hard as he can to make an advantage and overtake as many people as he can, knowing that his teammate will have a fantastic starting position for the next stint in order to try and keep those positions that he has gained. And Dankert, he's now 2.3 down, but he's still got 2 laps to try and catch Donati. Donati, though, not Can't see him getting any real time loss unless he gets spooked by the Aquapax racing car of AXR. Well, it's not even AXR, it's Liam Thurso. Ooh, excuse me. Oh, running wide there. That could have been dangerous for Joker. He is 2 minutes off the lead. Oh no, Mike's made a mistake. He spun, got damage, and Making Noise is back through. Mike had 2 laps to go, and he has made a mistake. No point pitting, just bring it home, mate. Drive to the finish with the damage. Have to just make it work for the last couple of laps, giving up 5, maybe 10 seconds. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why KWE Making Noise has been pushing so hard for so long, because they have been in that on-track fight with THG Mike and the Polywords racing team. They have pushed and pushed and pushed and refused to give up. And there, with the second last lap, Mike's made a mistake and it's cost him dearly. He will end up losing that on-track position fight between himself and KWE, and that is something for KWE to take home. They fought and fought and fought and finally came out with the victory. Now Donati in the dirty air of Liam Thurso. Is that going to cause a problem? Not enough. Bigger problem is Dankert going very wide there. 1 lap remaining at the end of this lap for him. He is 2/10 off his best lap, 1.9 off Donati. He's going to need a very brilliant last lap, or Donati is going to need a very costly mistake. The car was lighter, but the tyres were more worn. THG Pebsy in the end beating GCK Brabus. Oh no, but there's a yellow flag. Who's crashed? Who's made a mistake? There's a slow moving car. Oh no, it's no. Where is it? I think it was Brabus. No? We saw yellow flags and I was convinced it was one of these two. But it appears not to be. Brabus still 22 seconds behind. Not sure what happened there. I could check the live timing. Let's see who had a slow sector 2. I was only Making Noise with a 1:13. Oh, it was Making Noise! Making Noise has fallen off the road in the second sector and is now 5.8 seconds behind Mike. Mike with a damaged car. It's his final lap. He will be racing to bring it home. But we'll go over to AXR Joker, who will cross the line with 3 hours completed, 77 laps. He's done. And now we look at TSO40. It's the stint winner. He's done a fantastic job. 11th to first, a 2:15.4 to finish. He wins by 12.5 seconds over GCK Alos 73. There will be a great position for them to move up into P3 overall. Behind him, it's KWE bringing home 3rd in this stint to lead overall. They've done what they had to do, which was to take the lead in this stint. They weren't expecting to do it with 3rd place, but they have done it. We now cut to Liam Thurso, who has a 13-second lead over Felipe, the GTSB racing team, the team that was leading at the start of this stint. Liam Thurso for Aquapax Racing, the second car paired with AXR Group, who I believe is the team leader. They will be very happy with 4th place. A minute off the lead is not a bad ask considering you have beaten the former leaders of the race in this stint. He had 15.8 for a PB on the previous lap. He's got enough fuel. He's got plenty of tyres. Will it be another PB across the line? Yes, it is. It's a 2:15.7. And Felipe also on his final lap. Plenty of fuel left. No dramas for him. I don't think it's going to be a PB. He's a bit gun shy out of the last corner, and it's a 16.2, and he finishes 1 minute 19 off the pace. Pebsy 3 seconds later on, 1:23 off the lead. And now we go to Brabus who is the last man on the lead lap. Sorry, we'll see Mike is going to hang on over Making Noise. Making Noise has had a big drama. Sorry about that. Brabus, though, has enough fuel, comes home in 7th for the stint, a minute 46 off the lead. But we will have a quick look at Mike, who was able to hold on despite the damage. And we'll go to Making Noise. He's ended up crashing, trying to chase down Mike there. I've gone early saying that he fought and got the victory. He's ended up with a mistake in the last lap in the second sector and has fallen off the road, ending up behind THG Mike in the end there, which is very unfortunate. But he fought as hard as he could. That extra lap proving to be just too far. And there's your stint winner, ladies and gentlemen. Fastest lap, THG TS040, car 2 from 11th to 1st. Well done. And Liam Thurso with a very high quality message there. Well, thank you all for joining us for the first 2 stints of the World Tour Racing Club 12 Hours of Spa, sponsored by Polywords, brought to you by every single team here, whether it be KWE, whether it be GTSV, whether it be AXR, whether it be SCW or THG. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for participating. Thank you for making the show that makes the racing worthwhile. Now we will move on to stint 3, but that's me done. I have been Stiggs TC, your commentator, for the first 2 stints of the World Tour Racing Club's 12 Hours of Spa-Francorchamps in GT3 machinery. In the chat we can see the link for the Stint 3 stream. Thank you all very much for joining me, and enjoy the remainder of this race.